All right, welcome everybody to MogTalk, a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community, discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. And today we are talking about Ultimate and clearing it, and we bring on two amazing guests to talk about that topic. And before we go further, I want to introduce them so you know who they are. Llamatodd, you know what? I'm not going to introduce you guys. You fucking introduce yourself. Llamatodd, tell everybody who you are.
Well, I'm Llamatodd, and I focus on in-game content, and mainly just teaching Extreme, Savage, and Ultimate. We've been doing a lot of that recently.
That is the shortest
A lot.
introduction in the world, dude. That
I
is
know.
like tiny, tiny.
Okay.
He likes llamas. That's the other thing.
I do.
Throw that on there.
I do like llamas.
All right, Rin, could you tell everybody who you are?
No.
All right, so the show today is gonna go, Rin, go.
I am Rin. I am also a Savage and Ultimate Raider who likes to help people learn stuff. And, it turns out recently we had ourselves a couple of different personas created, and we even won ourselves a very own UCOB totem right here.
Oh my
Could be
god.
yours for the low price of a 30 or 100 hours of prog. Who knows?
Amazing.
That is actually pretty cool looking.
That's what you get for the 400th clear, right?
Oh, for this one?
Yeah.
So one of my friends got it for me when I was progging the fight back in 2017, right? He came over that night. It was our last night of prog for the week. And he comes over and he gives this to me. And he's like, "Hey, I just wanted to say, sorry you guys didn't clear, but here's this for you in real life." And I went, "We killed it." And he goes, "Congratulations on killing it."
Congratulations.
Oh, jeez. Well, everyone, we are going to be talking about Ultimate today in the regard of different aspects of it, visual, no, not visual, I guess, like how the community perceives it, what type of content it is, getting through it, the achievements, just everything we can hit on the Ultimates that's in Final Fantasy XIV. And I couldn't think of two other people who would be great guests for that, besides Llamatodd and Bryn, who have done excellent work helping many people clear Ultimate. And so, just to get into this conversation, some people might, for some reason, not know what Ultimate is, and they're like, what the fuck is this show even about? Rin, could you give us just a good answer on what is Ultimate for Final Fantasy XIV?
Sure. So in Final Fantasy XIV, you start with your normal stuff as you go through dungeons and do some trials and stuff as you go through fighting primals. And then you unlock extreme versions of the primals. And that's a step up in difficulty. The training wheels come off a little bit. And eventually you get into raids. They have normal story modes. And then they have the Savage version. And the Savage version is what most raiders are going to attempt. They have weekly gear and stuff to do. And then every once in a while, they give us this higher difficulty thing that is meant to just be the most difficult fights, battle of attrition. They're really long, and those are ultimates. And they are accessible and completable for anybody. I would say that the hardest thing about them is figuring out the puzzle at first.
And that puzzle is, I mean, it depends on how you're approaching the fight, but for anyone that wants to get into it, that is not a hurdle a lot of people have to face. They just have to kind of start to memorize it, right? The puzzle's there. They just have to look at it and trace it and make sure they got it.
Yep.
Doing your
spends
homework.
a lot of hours figuring it out. And they're like between, 14 and 20-minute fights. There's 3 of them out right now, and just figuring out how to get through it. And that is the test where sometimes in Savage you kill the boss and somebody died like 4 or 5 times. When an ultimate is fresh and new, everybody's got to be on their game.
Mhm.
Nowadays you can get by with a few deaths, but everybody's got to know their stuff. If you don't know your rotation, you don't know your stuff, that's when you're going hit the dummy, getting ready, come back in, and it's like your training arc, and you feel like Goku when you're done.
That seems relatable to a few different videos I've seen recently. But that being said, I mean, this Ultimate is one of those things that just like it came out. We were all, I think, a lot of in-game raiders when it came out in Stormblood they're like, hey, Savage is our most difficult content. We feel like it's been, dumbed down. It's too easy for us now. Ever since Alexander, that's what they had to get through. Alexander, that was the tough hill Grandpa had to get over every time to go to school. Right? Was Alexander back in the day doing brute justice, doing manipulator. That's what he's called, manipulator.
With no weapon. With no
Yeah, that's
weapon.
one of 'em.
Uphill, both ways.
That's one of them, yeah.
Yeah. Doing living liquid and everything, and then we got into the end of we got the creator at the end of Alexander, and it was, oh well, this is kind of easy now. Even I cleared it. when it was relevant. So,
If Frosty can do it, you can do it.
On Paladin, I did go hard mode. You are right. I did do it on hard mode, but we cleared it. And then Stormblood came out, and they said, "Hey, we're gonna start offering this challenging fight after your normal raid." And we had one tier, right? One tier of Savage. And I think everybody thought it was relatively easy. They weren't like super impressed. They thought, oh, well, this is kind of on creator difficulty. That might be just kind of where they are now. And then they're like, here, go do UCOB. And it took like a week or more, right? 5 days. What was it?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
11 days for the first.
Oh, was
and
it?
There was
No,
even
it was
a
11
post by Yoshi saying like, if you can't, we made the first phase very difficult because if you can't beat this is a mercy. This is telling you that if you can't beat this phase, you can't beat the fight.
Yeah.
And we were all taken aback. We're like, yeah, we'll take 3 days off of work. It's harder than Savage, so probably like an extra day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one fight, right? Yeah.
And then we're just screaming at the end, like rocking and shaking. And it was great.
Yeah, and it was just long. It was the longest fight anyone's ever had had to go through in Final Fantasy 14, which was like 19 minutes, right? It's kind of 19 to 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Is
I
where
think
we're
the
at.
Rage was like 1940 or something. If you saw everything, it was crazy. It felt much longer too.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those late phase wipes too. So demoralizing.
They're relatively simple mechanics at the end, but you're in your own head. You're like, everybody's gonna be looking at me if I die here. I
All
can't
nerves.
mess this up.
Yeah, and when it's going on, if you're near the end and you're like, oh, we're gonna clear it, you get 3 pulls an hour.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, that's rough. That's really rough.
Yeah.
And so if you make that one mistake, you're like, God damn it, I just wasted 10, 15 minutes.
Even worse than that, we had I gave a number of motivational speeches during our prog because you would get something where it's like less than 1% wipe on the final part of the fight, and then that person that messed it up, that's like, I didn't use my potion or whatever, they are just screaming at themselves, and you're like, calm down, like it happens, and they're
It's
like,
okay.
no, I shouldn't make that mistake. And they a bunch of game awards, and you're like, no. But that's what the nerves do to you.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody gets upset.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that woke us up, and we thought, hey, there is a possibility for challenging content in this game. This is something that we may be able to expect later on. And then later within Stormblood, we got Uwu, the ultimate weapons, whatever, it's like, we called it Uwu because we thought it was cute, but that we had to like jumble the words around to make it
Yeah,
ultimate weapon, ultimate, or something like that, right?
exactly. Uwu.
But the cool thing about that fight, from what I remember, is that we were all expecting this big challenge, and we're like, fuck, man, they're figuring out, they're getting kind of far in there, and then like 10 hours in the day, they're like, wait a minute, we haven't actually figured out the puzzle. And that's like when they start doing the gotcha, like, hey motherfucker, you don't really know what you're doing stuff. And those kind of things in the fight have some debate about, hey, it's good and bad, because once you figure it out, it's not really a challenge anymore.
Some of the mechanics became easier.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it cut down on prog. Like a new group today who knows what to do is not going to spend that first day being like, oh my God, we're getting so far. This is simple. Like, and then at the end they're like, wait, why are we wiping here? And just testing so many different things, right? You're like, let's try to tank LB this, or maybe they're just trying all these different things. And then at the end, they're like, until somebody makes a mistake and goes, what was that?
Yeah.
That's kind of why I recommend, especially with Endwalker coming up, that first week when the raid tier drops, like everyone should just do themselves a favor and just go in blind, because you only get one chance. Before all the strats come out. So this doesn't apply to just Ultimate, but like Savage too. Just get in there and have some fun.
Yeah. To go on that tangent just a little bit more, I of course am, my Ultimate content is progging Savage through Party Finder. And so I do that when the content first comes out. And I don't go in and get all the really crazy hardcore Party Finder players who are getting it week 1 in Party Finder, right? They're all just like going crazy and getting at it. I do a couple hours first week, then a couple hours the second week, and it just starts to fall off. right?
And you have other things and stuff.
Yeah. And so, but I will always try at least once, right? In the early times, I'll be like, hey, this fight, I'm going into it the first time without knowing anything. And people joining this party, know that we're going in not knowing anything, just so I can have that first fresh experience. That first, hey, I'm getting into this fight. I want to see what it is and try to decipher something out for myself.
Work it out.
And it's difficult to convince people to keep doing that throughout the entire fight. But that first, you can always get that first few minutes in there fresh and try to figure stuff out. And I love that so much. But going back to Uwu, I mean, that we found out that Square Enix is making this content now for the spectacle of the content as well, right?
Yes.
When it's released, streaming content, everything else, they're doing it because it's an event. And so that's
even
kind
they're
of
watching it too, I think they said,
Yeah.
right? When it's happening.
100% they are. And they want to see if people can figure out the puzzle they put in front of them. And they understand some of these challenges might not last past, the figuring out part, but that's not completely the point. I mean, that's part of the downscaling of the difficulty of the content is you could go in completely blind if you want to, and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and figure all this stuff out, and you have that challenge, but then the content's more open to other players who don't want to have that much of a challenge and still get the rewards at the end. So it is kind of neat. Again, we're blown away by Uwu. And then we found out there wasn't going to be a third one. That expansion, right? We're like, oh man, that kind of sucks. I understand. We got the other cool content though.
We got Valdezi and Arsenal.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty fun for people to prog because there were some gotcha things there too, and some throwback to 11.
Yep.
And then the end of Stormblood, a lot of people got into like UCOB that they couldn't do earlier in the expansion. We had a dungeon. We had dungeons come out that gave a little bit of a boost to your gear. We had it for Uwu too. You had the final dungeon, Gimlet Dark, gave some experience, some gear for people to go back and do Uwu, and it just became a little bit more accessible for people who had a tough time.
Yeah. And it's just making this content fun for everyone, and eventually people can get through it, but not completely diminishing the difficulty 100%, right? They're doing little soft nerfs by doing that.
No echo, no one syncing.
Yeah. And then we come into Shadowbringers, and we're like, holy shit, this was a fun Savage. We go through the Savage. We're like, oh, this is pretty fun. I like this. Oh, we get Ultimate, and then we deal with T, which again goes back to the very beginning of all of it, right? Where all the really meaty, difficult raid stuff was at, and everyone was hyped and excited for it. And then it was a fucking amazing thing to see, because we saw that difficult content plus that little puzzle in there. It was
and you feel so dumb after it took us a week to figure it out. Like TPS was done with it in a few days, and then everybody else, we started getting it on like Monday night of week one, and then we're like,
yeah.
And it's another situation where like doing it without the puzzle was more difficult than after, because after it's like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad, and it was a really fun time. It was a really fun time.
And it's just kind of a ride to watch people go through that and clear all that stuff. And that was the first time, by the way, just as a side note, the first time I knew all the answers to the fight before everyone else did, because I saw TPS's footage after they cleared while people were still progging on it and the community didn't know. And it was really difficult for me because I felt like I just had to be quiet, because I was like, I don't want to say anything that could hint anyway that I know what the answer is.
Here it comes. Are they going to get the hope? I mean,
right.
Right.
So
Didn't drop a hint. Damn.
No
Spoilers.
No anything. And so I thought that was, that whole T was amazing, and it's still amazing. It's still in this expansion. Before the jobs, will get changed up a little bit and everything else. So it's the most relevant Ultimate that's out at the moment, or at least like in the terms of fresh Ultimate like content that's kind of balanced around.
Level 80. Yeah.
Sure.
And so it's after that we found out there are no more Ultimates for this expansion, and it broke a lot of people's hearts because we start to become attached to it. Right, this is the penultimate. This is the difficult content that everybody is looking forward to. This is the huge achievement that if you're a hardcore raider, you clear it and you've cleared the most difficult content in the game.
It's also the bucket list for the end of an expansion, right? For the people who are not
Mhm.
hardcore, they're like, okay, now all these people have cleared it. I finally feel confident enough that maybe I can do it too. And sometimes people go in and that's their first raid that they've
Mhm.
ever done is an ultimate. And so having those available, like having only one, which is T, is okay because we still have UCOB and UWU, which, like you said, don't depreciate. So
Mhm.
there are options,
Yeah.
but you always want more, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's human nature.
Absolutely. And the reason is because of not just the difficulty, but the visuals, the weapons you get, the achievement, legend, by the way, the titles you'll get and you'll run around with, and then just hearing they put so much work. It's like the masterpiece that they put up on the mantle for what they could do with raid fights, and it's just really cool to go through that and be able to clear it. And this has exploded recently. Of course, the WoW exodus going into Final Fantasy 14, plus the other people who are like, hey, something's going on here from other games, or seeing the rapid growth in Final Fantasy 14, wanting to get into this content and see it out, see what Final Fantasy 14 has to offer. Ultimate's one of those things for the raiders, the people who love MMO raiding. And so right now, I would say many players are doing Ultimate and kind of going through all the challenges and everything, but the two of you have been kind of in the spotlight for doing Ultimate recently and helping people get clears. How many messages, by the way, Rin, did you get?
Todd, probably more than me.
Oh, really? How many messages did you get, Todd?
I haven't counted them, but it's been a lot of DMs, a lot of just asking for help on UCOB, and I think it's mainly UCOB.
Really?
Yeah, and like across all the data center.
Yeah, it's like, hey, can you come here? Can you help? I'm like, I actually had to put a spreadsheet together of my schedule for all the groups that I'm in now. I'm like, well, this is what I've got. Like, I haven't had to do that in a long time, but now it's like I can't keep track. Like, what group am I in? Like, what am I doing today? I'm like, okay,
some of the groups were in together.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of groups were in together, and then like anytime after that, then I can help like random people in my community or people that just ask and just want to like hop in feet wet. But yeah, with the influx of the WoW players, man, that's who would have like figured that was going to happen?
Nobody.
And nobody, right? And like when that happened, I discovered Rich Campbell, and right away, like he learned about Ultimates, and he found my stream too, and he's like, "Yo, Ty, let's do some Ultimate." Like not even joking, even though his chat would kind of memeing on him a little bit, but he was dead serious. So like getting to that point and like setting up like the Rich Cobb and stuff, man, it's just been so much excitement. And I think when we got Rich Cobb cleared, it really elevated that even more. So people were like, "Holy crap!" Like, wait, if Rich can do it, I can do it. Like, that's kind of like a meme too. But like all these people are like, "I want to do Ultimate." It looked like a lot of fun. Like, count me in. Yeah.
They were like singing a different tune too. At first, they're like, there's no way he's gonna be on this till end Walker. Like, he's a new player. There's no chance. And honestly, I think if it's not too bold to say, I think a lot of people put Ultimates on an unreasonable pedestal. It is a feat, it is an achievement, but not one at the top of Mount Olympus. It's something like on your top shelf. You can get there. You can get there. And now, yeah, like Todd's saying, there's so many people who are like, I mean, I've even had people who come in who don't ask for our help, but they're just like, I put together a static for it. Now, because I watched you guys, we're doing our own thing. RFC made a group. My friends, we made a group. We're going in. We already, or other people like, because, and Todd, I know we both talked about this to the nines, right? There were a lot of party finders now, too. You open it up midday, evening, it's like
party finders,
10, 12 parties for UCOB, maybe a couple UWU, maybe a T.
More Ultimate listings in Party Finder than Savage.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, and people are like, I went into Party Finder and I just went in and we made a lot of mistakes and wiped the twisters and stuff, but it was okay because we were all doing it. And I got to Bahamut and that was so cool. And it's great because these people are getting to experience these for the first time. And like I mean, I know people meme on the amount of times I've killed the fight, whatever. It's just another one for me, but it's always somebody's first time. in that excitement, that achievement, getting to see them so excited, that makes me relive it too. And that's what I get out of it, is just getting to see them happy.
Oh yeah.
And especially since they get to get like that golden gunbreaker or dancer weapon.
And like not too long ago, man, I took like, it was 6 brand new people into UCOB. Like we unlocked it for them. It was crazy. Like just the unlock, like everyone was just dying left and right. But we went in there and we just got through the first phase, and they were just super excited. They're like, when can we do that again? I'm like, you see, you can do it. You can do it. It's okay.
And you know, kind of what we hope. Right. And by the way, just to make sure, there might be some people who might not catch Rin's jab there. With the dancer weapon and the gunbreaker weapon.
Yeah.
Could you explain that a little bit more real quick, Rin? What you mean?
So many of us were like, gunbreakers coming out, dancers coming out. I was like, I'm gonna be a gunbreaker main. If it's bad or good, whatever. Like for Prague, I'll play whatever's good, but I'm a gunbreaker main, right? I'm like, I have my totem, I'm ready. I logged out in Ralger's Reach. So when Shadowbringers came out, I was ready to get my weapons. And then I go in and I'm like, where are they? They didn't give us ultimate weapons for Gunbreaker and Dancer.
Yeah.
We do get T weapons, but we didn't get those.
Wouldn't that suck if you didn't get T weapons?
Oh my god.
Just nothing. Just wait.
You got a new job.
It would be cool. It would be cool if Reaper and Sage get ultimate weapons, but I would not go saving your totems for them just yet. Unless maybe you want to be cautious, but yeah, if you want to, sure.
But yeah, I think what you were talking about earlier is when people go and get that clear and they're like excited and they want to kind of do it again, you kind of hope it like infects people, right? The urge to go out there and help other people clear. And so it starts this just wave of people trying to help other people and just like constantly trying to get those first clears for other people, because it's so much like what do you fucking call it? All the endorphins. What was it? You get really happy and all that shit.
Dopamine.
Yeah, all the dopamine you get out
start
of
firing. And...
Yeah. It's one of those things that you just want to keep doing because you're like, hey,
absolutely,
this is if I get happy from doing this stuff. I become like a better person, and it's like a release of some sort. The clear this fight and go over this challenge. That the challenge was there because the person hasn't cleared it first or cleared it yet, and then you go on.
That's probably like one of the big reasons, like why I do what I do. Probably why Rin does the same thing. It's just being there for someone else's first time clear. Like we get the same kind of level of excitement and happiness.
You get that dopamine out of just seeing. It's like the role, like a coaching kind of feeling, right? Like when you see somebody succeed, and you're just like, I'm so gosh dang proud of you.
Yeah.
And then people want to go back in and optimize. They want not like do the most damage, but they're like, I got hit by an Exaflare, and I would just like to get a kill where I don't
do it clean without deaths. Exactly.
And you see that happen too, and it's great. Sometimes people make link shells together or make long-lasting friendships, and I think ultimates are also really good for the players who like to prog. Maybe they don't want to farm things a million times, but they just want to kill a fight. Ultimates are a journey. You know, you're not going to kill it in a day. Maybe you'll kill it in 6 hours if it's uwu.
We madge.
You'll be at it. You'll be at it. Twister, you'll get hit by twisters all the time, and then finally you'll stop dying to it. Right? You'll be like, okay, this is feeling pretty good. You'll get your kill. You'll go on social media. You'll hop on Twitter. You'll post your kill. People will be like, "But congrats."
Yeah, it was easier. In 2018.
Yeah, exactly. You'll never get hit by twisters. Yeah. Even last night, Rin was played perfectly. He didn't strafe into a twister at all, not once.
By the way,
it's okay. I got yeeted.
I definitely
plenty of times.
That happened a lot, and it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You can clear the fight, a million times, and you're still gonna die.
We're gonna die.
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of like why it's so exciting, right? Because you can mess up. It's not something like it's just like you go on autopilot. You kind of have to pay attention to what's going on, especially when you get into T.
Oh my god. I was in there just last night with some new people.
100%.
That's a rough one.
Prog 5 to 10 seconds at a time, and you like it. You're like, oh my god.
Yep. You do that for like a month, and you finally get past the second phase, and you blow through a few mechanics, and then you get hit with the door opening in your face again. That's wormhole, and you spend a little bit of time on that, and then and then everything becomes kind of easy. But it's always that first 2 phases in T. They're difficult. And Todd's even learning it on a new role.
I am preparing for Rich T, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or CBT.
CBT. So let's talk about Rich for a little bit, because you guys have had a lot of time with him.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Rich?
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a unanimous.
Very
spot.
enthusiastic. Man, his reactions have been great. I think he's done a lot of good things for this community, and he's really found a good home with Final Fantasy 14. And it's just been awesome being able to raid with him. And
I think
when
he's perfect for it.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. And like when we were talking about doing ultimates, like as he was just kind of going through the story, he wasn't quite there yet. But as soon as he hit like Stormblood, we like kind of cranked it up a little bit more. And it's like, all right. And he messaged me. He's like, all right, Todd. And I was like, I want to do some ultimates. Can you put some people together? And at the time, they just had the all craft with like Xeno, and Zeno said, hey, if you're gonna do an ultimate, just go in with 7 vets. Like, just you don't need to do the whole blind thing. Like, just go in. You're gonna have more fun that way. So that's kind of like what we did. I just took a lot of the raiders that I knew, and Rin included, and man, we made some good content out of it.
Yeah, tons of good content, and you pissed off a lot of people in the Final Fantasy 14 community too,
We
right?
knew what we were doing.
Yeah, but most people, I think it was a net positive, but there were some spicy comments.
I would say for every spicy comment, you had like a league more of people who were just happy and loved the content. It wasn't like it was a fresh, and it wasn't supposed to be fresh, right? Like Rich got to do an ultimate. We got to entertain people, and because of the level of expertise, we got to meme along the way and just have a really good time.
Yeah.
I like seeing all the people that came in
But
from
congrats.
WoW.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but congrats.
That's like the end of the meme. I know exactly what they're saying.
I think there were a lot of people who were ready to take a break from the game. And then we got a big influx, and it was great. There were some people who came in and they didn't love the game as much, or they weren't as interested in it, and they left. But Rich, I think, came in. He loved like all aspects of it too, right?
Did.
Like he enjoyed the story. He created new memes out of like things as old as A Realm Reborn, and it was just it's just been really good all around. And there's been some other really nice people who have come in too.
I will.
Like now it's Lisa Lamasa.
I will say, Rich coming in, it was an extremely good thing for both the community and him in general. I do say I need to make sure, because this is my feeling. Without the Final Fantasy 14 community, the game isn't as fun to me. I enjoy the game, but that community is so addicting, and all those people supporting you, and all those people laughing with you, and all those people, you get on stream and you just have all that energy going. And Rich is feeling it. He's feeling like the full force of the Final Fantasy 14 community. And that has to be like kind of addicting because of how great the response is to him playing, and people, treat him well, besides the people who are like fucking just going to be shitbags in the corner and complain about everything.
There'll be a few of those everywhere.
But the community is excited because Rich is also someone who's representing all the things that we love about Final Fantasy 14 and making it very public. And so I love everything that's happening with that. Of course, that was all amplified too with Asmongold coming in and going through his own process with that, which is doing lots for the game. And so this burst that's happening, I don't know if it would have been nearly as good if it happened right at Endwalker, because I feel like right now there's so much of like the community able to give its time and resources to make a good experience.
Perfect timing.
Yes.
I think it was really perfect timing.
And people are going to be focused on the new stuff in Endwalker, right? So seeing players, even popular players from another game coming through A Realm Reborn, like you're either going to have the split between people who want to watch that experience or people who don't want spoilers, right? But this is the perfect time because it's like we get to just organically, and we want to do it, right? Because like we're always looking to help people and do stuff, right? So and I just like chilling back. Maybe I'm just like getting some work done and then watching somebody experience things on the other screen. It's great.
Yeah. But I mean, he also put a big spotlight on Ultimate. He put a big spotlight on the story.
Absolutely.
He put a big spotlight on a lot of things. But Ultimate right now has been a huge spotlight. And the only bad thing that I hear is in the community, people are like, yeah, he cleared it and everything. He was carried. No one's trying to say he wasn't carried. I'm like, I mean, what's your definition of carry exactly? I mean, I guess it was easier than like if he went in and had to figure out everything and everyone in his party had to figure out everything. I guess it comes down to what level of difficulty you're looking for, because there are different ways to approach these fights, right? You can come in 100% blind. No one knows anything about it at all, right? You can take that step further and, you know, maybe only play with a mouse, not use a keyboard at all, and you're only playing with a mouse the entire time. Those people are probably better gamers than the people who go in blind, right? Because the person using a mouse and going in blind
is use a Guitar Hero controller. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, there's so many levels of extra difficulty you could add to it. I mean, the best experience that a lot of people will say is going in fully blind with everyone being completely blind, and that's if you have a group of 7 friends that want to do that and enjoy that content.
Right,
but
that's the hard part.
That's not easy to get, right?
No, and as a content creator, I'm like, I don't know if people are gonna want to like watch 8 blind proggers like for an ultimate. Like that's gonna be probably
you'll see the same 30 seconds for like weeks. Right?
So
yeah, it gets stale. Yeah, that's tough.
That's true. I will say that's absolutely true in most cases. I will say if Echo comes or Complexity, you know, those are different situations. Those are like professional MMO raid teams. If they came in,
they may prog a little bit quicker than a standard 8 players who may not have done many
raids. Right. If there's like world first, yeah, exactly. If they can get it done in like a week or something, then I'm sure people would definitely tune in. But like, like you're like an average group, it's going to take them months. I mean, I know groups that they casually just like doing it like with the same group, and it's been like almost a year or so. It's going to take their time with it. But we didn't want to draw this out
perfectly, right?
Yeah.
So right amount of time, right amount of memes, and Rich learned. Right, he stopped making mistakes.
He did
by
learn.
The time he got his clear.
He did a great job.
Yeah, and now he could go in with, which, you know, could be a thing where he goes in with groups and helps other people clear, right? Or he could just go in and clear for fun.
He could. I mean, yeah, he absolutely could. I mean, there's going to be things like you're still going to learn mechanics, and there's still going to be things that you're going to have trouble with. I mean, that could be said for Savage too. It's like you get that one clear, or especially in like the first week or something, right? Like you get through the entire tier, right? And then it's like I forgot what the first boss was. Like, what do we have to go back and do that again?
Always.
So you just you're like, wait, how? Like we just kind of blitz through this. So like you just have to have that repetition. To get really good. But yeah, I trust him.
I am. So now let's say we're past this part, right? He's cleared and everything else. Now he goes into a group and 7 other people who have cleared before. It's 8 people who have cleared before. Do you diminish the fact that he cleared again? Right? And so now you have 8 people who know what they're doing and clearing it.
No.
Is there anything bad about literally anyone in that group that's going and clearing it? It's so that whole like weird conversation about it. It's just people who are jaded. They don't have the same ability to get people who are good at the game to come help them through in that kind of energy. And that maybe their static broke apart because they couldn't do it and they were trying to do it blind. And then they're like, well, he's only fucking doing it because he has good friends.
Yeah, scheduling is probably the hardest part for an ultimate and keeping 100%. People together.
Yeah,
if you have like a month,
even in the rich group, right? We had people who couldn't make it stuff.
I know we couldn't. We had to find a time that worked for everyone to get that to keep that going.
Yeah. And then there's the second way you can do it, right? You can go in there and know all the strategy with a group of people who haven't done it before, and they could just learn. That's the next level. Then you could go to the next level where it's just a few people assisting. Then there's the level of, hey, there's just the one person who's kind of going through and learning it and being cleared, which is where Rich was. But in the end, he knows how to clear the fight. He's an ultimate raider at this point. You know, so I don't know. It's interesting to see that. I don't think it should be diminishing. You should have your choice of how you want to clear it, and it doesn't matter how you clear it in the end, because you still got what you wanted. You got your title, you got your weapon, and you got your achievement that you wanted, right? It's if you want to go in blind, that's your own personal thing. It's a video game. You know what? One thing, and this sticks with me a little bit, is, you know, Monster Hunter. You guys know Monster Hunter, right?
Sure.
Correct.
Yeah, I played.
Yeah.
I love Monster Hunter.
Basically, is a group of people going against a beast, a monster, right? And you can go in there and you can do it with different sets of weapons, different ways. And some people can go in there and they cheese the fight and they kill the boss or the monster or whatever because
Team Darktide. Kill the boss in like 15 seconds.
Yeah,
they're great. They're exceptional.
So they're enjoying the game they want to. People who go out and clear it in different ways with boss fights here, I think, are enjoying the game they want to as well. They're not diminishing it for fucking anyone else. They're not doing anything to hurt anyone else from enjoying the game.
You're just feeling it. I mean, who cares? You killed Rathalos, you got a ruby or a plate or whatever, right? That didn't change what anybody else did.
Yeah. And so I think it's awesome to kind of see that people are kind of... I feel like there is a lot of people in the community who are kind of getting out of that whole vibe of, oh, I can't do it because if I do it, I'll get carried or whatever else. They're just like, hey, we can just go through it. It's okay to go with people who know what they're doing and get the clear, and no one's going to, give too much shit for it. I mean, some people are,
No,
but
of course not.
Most people who are reasonable, not pieces of shit, will be like, oh yeah, no, cool, congrats.
Well, I think anytime after anything after week 1 of a fight, like someone's going to be in a group with you that knows more than that fight. So like it's in that sense, you are now being carried. If you didn't do it blind that first week, now you're being carried because someone's going to either have like better gear or better knowledge.
Yep.
You know what? Xeno fucking... I mean, I learned everything I know about tanking from Xeno, right? Like, I've watched him for a long time. I look up to him. His group disbanded when they were at Golden, and I had my co-tank at work working an overtime shift one night when we were doing our re-clears, so we had already cleared. He subbed in and he got his clear with us. Does that make him carried? No. Everybody knows he did his stuff. Mr. Happy, even when he cleared, people like, Mr. Happy got carried, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then now he was in the Rich group, and people, oh, Mr. Happy carried Rich. Right? They're singing a whole different tune.
Right.
I mean, Todd, when you did your T-Prog, right? That was when I first started watching you around that time. Were you weren't completely fresh 8 out of 8, right?
Well, it was actually Xeno. My first ultimate, Xeno led our group, and then the other 7 people, we were new. So like you could say, hey, well, Llamatodd, he got carried. I've been carried through all my ultimates because I've had raid leaders that knew the fights.
Yeah.
But you stopped making mistakes.
But I still, it was still awesome experience. Doesn't take anything away from my clear.
Yeah. So I'm glad that kind of stigma maybe is going away and people are kind of just going through the process and everything. Because there is that thing that's out there that when someone with a legend title dies to something, it's legend
I
title.
don't use that title.
Dude, I bought the Dragoon lands and I still have my legend title and I'm just like I barely know how to play that. I'm like doing leveling roulettes and stuff. I'm like, what's my combo again? And I'm dying to AoEs with jump. Yeah, I hit jump. I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of I can't. Oh, well, I'm now a Dragoon.
Yeah.
Like, why is jump like 7.5 minutes?
It's so long. It's worse than Assassinate. Like actually worse than Assassinate.
Hey man, melee is just horrible for me in general. I can't stand having to be like on different positions of the boss. So I'm just like, I out on that. I like ranged physical the most because I have to think a lot less.
Sometimes too little, and you forget mechanics are happening.
Yeah.
Can you stay in this star? What star? Well, I guess there isn't one now.
Yeah. So the other part to this too. So the title, right? You got the legend, the ultimate legend, the perfect legend. They did come with some prestige. People saw they were like, oh, well, holy shit, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's been through like the hardest content in the game, and so it puts him on this like pedestal to where like, oh man, this guy's good. Oh, he fucked up. What a fuck up. Yeah. You think you're good? You run around your title. You think you're good?
No. Title's a title, and people are gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna die in a dungeon. Sure, we all are. We're gonna.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's new. Sometimes maybe you just had a long day. You're just chilling, right?
I think after I cleared T, I remember this. I went and did like raid roulettes or something, and I died on like Leviathan normal. And, like right after getting perfect legend, I'm like, well, there it is. Perfect legend dying, man. Normal content. It's supposed to be good.
Yeah, you can't make mistakes, right?
I can't. Apparently, I can't. Not anymore.
We're all humans. We make mistakes. We learn. We get better, and mistakes will still happen. It's just a part of life.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the rewards, though. Like, you get the glowy. What do you guys think about the glowy weapons? Are they too much?
They're great.
They're great. T weapons look amazing. That T axe, oh man.
They change your whole glamour too.
Do
You're like, now I need a glamour that fits,
Mm-hmm.
works well. I love them. I love them.
Yeah.
And you know what? For when they come out, they're your new best in slot because they actually get a bonus materials.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't give you a lot, but it feels cool.
Yeah. 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 You'll be sort of stronger. And you'll know you're a little bit stronger, just a little tiny bit, but it's there.
You'll know it.
Yeah.
You can just AFK so hard in Limsa with that weapon now.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's so
Everybody
good.
does.
You have
Everybody
to.
does. You walk
You
up,
need a little
you're like,
macro
hey,
that makes it glow too.
Did you see this? Can I
See this? Look at me. Look at
get a
me.
little bit closer? And you make it glow, and you're like, oh, you missed it. Sorry. Here's my other one.
Yeah. I love, so I don't care about titles as much. I do care about glowy ass weapons and like really like I stand out. Like if you see a whole bunch of people running, you'll notice that shining light going through the crowd. You know,
Yeah.
I
When
like
people
that.
stop and look at your character, you're like, got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I run around with this top 100 PvP mount.
There you go.
Because people
Hell
are like,
yeah.
what the fuck?
You want to
is
stand
that?
out?
Where did you get that?
Where'd you get that?
Oh my! I get so many. Where'd you get that armor? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Is it hard to get? It's impossible.
You literally can't get it anymore.
It feels so
Ultimate.
bad, but then you're wearing it. You're like, this looks fucking cool.
Yeah,
But that's the thing about ultimates is they're not impossible.
Mhm.
They're always doable.
Yeah. The only like super exclusive stuff is from PvP at the moment, which is going to be gone soon.
Do it
So
now.
yeah, and so the top 100 rewards that they got, it used to be only like 600 people in the world, right, would have those top 100 rewards.
But
So
now it's 200 people who all have alts.
right. Who's just like using all of their alts to get up there, and yeah, fucking shit. Anyways, so the weapons are awesome. And I think honestly, at the end of the day, is it the weapons or is it literally just the achievement of clearing that is what people are going for? What are most people clearing Ultimate for? Are they clearing it one time? Or are they clearing it multiple times?
I think it's a mixed bag.
I think some people just want like one time, to say they did it. And well, for me now, like it's helping others, and I want my weapon. I want all of them.
At first, I wanted to do so. I mean, I've done them all when they came out, right? So, and I think Todd, you did your first ones last year, right? Or was it the year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. T while it was when it came out, and then I went back and did Covenant.
So what? Maybe we could talk about our mentalities a little bit, and you go first with since you did it after they came out, and what got you to want to do it in the first place?
What want me to like to want to do like UCOB and stuff?
Your very first ultimate, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I had some good friends that I was raiding with, and they just suggested that we try an ultimate. And man, I was probably in the same boat as many viewers, thinking like, oh, I'm not good enough for ultimate. There's no way. So I was definitely nervous going in. It wasn't something I was like actively looking for. Like, oh, I want to do ultimate now. But yeah, I was encouraged. After doing Savage, plenty of Savage, that hey, you can do this. Just give it a shot. And like we got Zeno, he'll be leading it, and I think that helped. Like just having someone who could just like lead us through. I was like, all right, well, I'll do my best. And we put in the work, man. But it was quite the experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was just a little bit of encouragement from my friends that helped me.
So that helps you clear, but why'd you even want to do it? Were you just like, you want the achievement, and that was it?
Yes, I did. It's really just the achievement of saying like, hey, I can do this difficulty of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm trying to improve as a player, as a raider, I'm like, okay, I've done Savage. I'm like, this is the next. Like, can I do this? Am I good enough to do this?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, absolutely the achievement.
Okay.
And then for you, Cobb, I just pestered him every day until he said yeah.
Well, yeah.
Nice. And Ren, you were just part of kind of the world race to clear it. That was kind of you, right? Yeah.
So we took 3 days off because we were like, I can't take more than that. People have work, they have school and stuff. So we're like, okay, UCOB will probably be dead in 3 days. We've already done Bahamut. What could there be?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, this is going to take a while. So we went really hard the first few days, and we got to Bahamut. We got to the second trio, which is about sort of the halfway mark almost. And really, like, that second phase in Bahamut, you fight Nail, which was the original final boss of the second tier of coils. And I would say that phase there is probably the fastest, most personal responsibility phase out of like any phase in the game. And real quick, if I could sum them up, I would say UCOB is all about your personal responsibility. Uwu is about if you could follow the leader and play with the group. And then T is about precision, being in the right places at the right time.
Oh yeah.
So going back on that, so that one phase, if you can get through that, like, you're ready for anything. And I think everything else slows down after. So we're getting through that, and we're like, okay, standard raid, we'll do Tuesday savagery clears, and then the rest of the week, we're working on ultimate. And it took us 6 weeks to clear the fight, which was about it was like 216 hours. It was like 2,400 pulls or something. It was a lot. It was a lot. And by the time we got through to it, to the end, we were like, we feel fucking good. It felt really nice. And we were the first group on Balmung to clear, which, for anybody who knows the history of the game, you're going to think Balmung's not a server for raiders, it's a server for role playing. So it was a big deal. We had like so many people show up that like Ralger's Reach that night was congested. It was like the server came together and achieved something. And that sense of accomplishment, let me tell you, that is like heartwarming to see and to feel and to just be a part of. And so for us, it was just, that was the next thing to do. We had just, Deltascape was our very first world race for our team. It was our first time stepping up to finally compete with everybody. We were in the big ocean now. We were like, okay, we felt pretty good. I think we finished like 32nd or something for that. So then UCOB comes out and we're like, we can do this. We believe we can. And we're not going to until we can. And I really feel that, Gordius and Midas, people exclaimed to be like one of the growing pains of Final Fantasy, right? That was the time where people's statics broke and people realized, I need to get better. UCOB was that next moment. UCOB was the next moment where people were like, we're not good enough at the game right now. We kind of need to start focusing more and improving. And that's what people did. So I would, because we just went casual, I do UCOB and I would play for like 9 or 12 hours a week in my group. And then I would go do Party Finder. And that's how I met a lot of friends I know today. Is we just started people, because it was a new fight, right? And people like, we'll just mess around, we'll get our feet wet or whatever. And then I'm joining these groups and I'm like, I already know the first 8 minutes of the fight. They're like, fantastic. And so I was catching people up slowly. And then, people started making groups and it was great. And it was just fantastic. Some really good, that's actually how I met Ariza, was through that. And some other really good players in the community was we ended up just making a pug Discord of all these people who just wanted to run and wanted to do UCOB and had interest in growing and beating this new boss. So we beat that. And then afterwards, I mean, I guess since every Ultimate's come out since then, I've never thought I couldn't do it because I always did. But UCOB was like the biggest. Like, Uwu came out and we're like, Ultima weapon, please. We've killed Bahamut. And by the time that one came out, we're like, how hard could it be? Bahamut's like the penultimate, right? It's like the magnum opus of raiding. Nothing will ever be hard enough. And then T came out. And that kicked us in the ass. T was big fun. I left my static temporarily because they had no interest in racing, and I went and raced with other players who have competed in the world race before, and we got together and it was an entirely different experience, having people coming together for the sole purpose of killing the boss and being done. It was crazy. And T was an amazing experience. It was really, really good. And that was the first moment where we felt like, so UCOB, you get in and everybody in my group was a one trick. We're like, we all know this one job. We could play this one job. Let's make it work. And we didn't have a scholar, which hurt us really bad. And then eventually we did get a scholar. And T, it was like, we can all kind of flex and we can kind of like get to these growing pains and switch jobs if we need to. And it felt really cool. And then again, now I kill these bosses as fast as I can so that I could just immediately start teaching people because I want everyone else to experience that.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Back in the day, I was kind of in that same boat with when I first started playing this game, and I first started, this was before I was streaming. This was before anything with me and Final Fantasy 14, but it was with T9, and I'd make Party Finder groups saying, "Hey, if this is just an open group for anyone who wants to try to do T9," and so I would start that group up, find out who the first people are, and then try to mold the requirements to be around what their experience was, and then make a party. And we got people either cleared or they learned good parts of the fight so they can clear later on. I stopped doing that at some point because got busy with so many other things that came and went in my life. But that was a highlight for me. So I understand that whole process of just like getting that feeling, only wanting to do it and see progress through the eyes of other people. And I did see it pop up in a little bit of a chat. We already talked about it a lot, but I have to say, anytime you clear a fight and you do it and you're going through and you're playing and you have a roll that 1/8 of that fight and you execute and you make it to the end, that's a legitimate clear. So
hell yeah,
yeah.
Yes.
So
Agreed.
shut the fuck up, anyone who says something other
That's
than
what I
that.
say. Because like every night I'm helping someone clear content. It's like, you gonna take that away from them? Like,
Yeah.
it's bullshit. Just shut
Absolutely.
up. Who cares?
Let me ask you a question.
Be happy for other people.
If you're going to shit on other people, what are you getting out of it?
Yeah.
What is the community getting out of it in positive growth?
What's it to you? Yeah.
Nothing. And you know what? You know what? Here's another thing. Just speaking, because I know people are talking about Rich specifically, right? About being carried. This man went from never doing any difficult content in Final Fantasy at all. No, nothing. And he went to Ultimate. There are people who get talked down on for less, who have gone through all of Savage and go into Ultimate. So he did that. And you know what? So people think, I mean, we had a great group. Don't get me wrong. We had an exceptional group of people who knew what they were doing. But Rich kept up. It wasn't like we were taking our little brother to school and like we had to make him play with us. No, he learned and he kept up. That's how he was able to prog so quickly. We took the training wheels off. We didn't even do cheese strats. We didn't tank LB through things that were going to kill him. We did it first so he could see the next thing. But on his clear, check it out. Everything was legitimate and he just did his work. And even if you do use things to cheese, again, if you get the kill, who cares? You beat the boss. Don't let anybody take that away from you ever, because you did it.
Yeah. So the other part to that is I haven't cleared any ultimates. I'm going to let everybody know that right now. I haven't cleared a single ultimate.
Yeah. We need Frosty Cobb.
Yeah.
So if I do get it cleared though, it will be in the same vein of people who know what they're doing helping me through it, because I will have a wife, a job, and lots of other shit where I'm like, you know what? I can still go through, learn this content and clear it and be completely content with myself with clearing it with people who know what they're doing. When you're fucking doing Party Finder, which I do all the time, by the way, that's how I clear all my Savage, all this entire expansion was through Party Finder. It's a mix of people who don't know what the fuck they're doing and people who know what they're doing, right? And so you can't say,
you did this too with us, right? How'd you feel?
I did.
You did Party Finder.
Oh yeah, no, I did. Todd helped me with some of the fights that we're. Yeah.
We co-tanked together with Shadowkeeper and stuff. Remember? And
yeah, I remember that.
How'd you feel? Did you feel carried? Did you feel like you just did the fucking fight?
He learned. Yeah, Frosty learned.
And so I'm going through and learning all this stuff and trying to figure it out on my own too. And sometimes I get through it, I'm like, yeah, the people who are with me are mainly the reason I'm going through it. But it's the same fucking thing if I'm in Party Finder, if people know what they're doing too. You know, I'm not going to say, hey, I'm doing a Party Finder. Oh, you cleared? You can't join. No, you can't come in here and help me through this. Fuck you, man. I'm doing this with only people who don't know what the fuck they're doing because I'm an idiot. You know? So it's how it goes, man. And I have so much fun with it. The people in the party have fun with it. And the only people who don't have fun are the people who are just jealous and envious for literally no fucking reason. You just need to learn how to get along with people, man. If you can't find people to, go out there and get into a Party Finder and clear content, stop being a piece of shit. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
My wife says play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
But
I mean, that's it. There's always going to be somebody negative, and I challenge you to just be a little bit better. You know, every day wake up to be a little bit better than you were the day before. And for all the people who are speaking negative loud voices, there's so many more who are just happy for it. And like we talked about earlier, trying ultimates now. You know, the dev team did an amazing job with these fights. They put together, I mean, they're marathons. Like, they are not short fights. And that's what I love about them. They are that step. There is something for everyone. If you want something a little short and easy that takes off some training wheels, do extremes, right? If you want something that's going to take a little bit more of a challenge, do savage. And if you want something where you're going to go really hard at it, do ultimates. I think you'll have fun.
I like getting to trios and being like, all right, less than halfway there.
Yeah. Only 45 more to go.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, man. Yeah, and again, all these fights are just beautiful fights overall. I love watching them. You know, I'm a spectator in many regards. I mean, I like doing fights too. That's why I've been doing Savage. And at some point, maybe, I'll do my bolt through Ultimates, it's just a lot of work. And so every time I see it, I mean, that's me. All right, so here's me. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat with me. I look at it, and it looks like a lot of work. And it looks like, do I really want to go through all this work to get this clear? So what would you guys say to me in that situation where I'm just looking at it and it just looks exhausting? It doesn't look like, hey, at the end of the day, it's something I want to do because it just looks exhausting to do.
Well, I mean, sometimes I'll take people in. I'll be like, how about we just do a lockout?
Yeah.
You at least get some experience, see what you think, and then you can
Mhm.
get. That's what I tell people too. I'm like, do not take my word for it. If I love the fight, that doesn't mean you will. If I
Right.
don't like the fight, that doesn't mean you won't either. Try
Mhm.
it out, form an opinion, and then you decide. And some people are like, I got the bug.
Yep.
I gotta do it.
That's
And
what
some other
happens.
people are like, I was a little stressed, maybe another time. And that's okay too.
Mhm.
I guess the other part to
So
this.
for you, I would say,
Mhm.
if you have limited time, Frost, and you're like, maybe I could do like a week, a month, man. Like, fucking, I don't know.
Yeah,
You think we can
dude, you
clear? And
can
I'm
just
like, I don't know. And
yeah.
then I would ask you, do you feel if you only had a couple of days, a month or something, do you feel you would degrade in your knowledge every time for it to not be worth it for you? Or if you can retain that knowledge, that's
Mhm.
fine to chip away at the fight.
Okay.
So what would you answer? How do you feel about that? Do you think you could learn a little bit at a time and kind of just chip away?
Yeah, I think I could chip away at that. I think that's possible. So, ideally, and that's the reason, by the way, I do Party Finder is because there's no set schedule, there's no anything. It's you get in there and you get going. But I guess in the one way to look at this is that, hey, when I want to get in there and try to get a little bit further, I can. You put up a Party Finder
Mhm.
right now. It's a good time to do Party Finder for it. Uh, or you find a handful of friends who could just jump in and kind of try to get you through and get you to the next part and
Mhm.
start learning. And once you get in that rhythm, right, you're doing it
Oh
over and
yeah.
over again, and you start seeing these little milestones within the fighter is achievable. Then you're like, hey, I'm encouraged to keep doing it. I'm encouraged to keep spending time on it. And maybe that train just keeps rolling and you get the clear eventually. And that whole big wall of intimidation, of exhausting, of all this work and everything else goes away because
Mhm.
you're just in it.
And sometimes you get like I tell people too, I'm like, there are going to be parts of the fight where we're going to get to this next part and you're going to blow through the next two parts.
Mm,
And
right.
that even happened in Rich Cop. We got to phases and I'm like, you're going to get through this next trio. And then we do. And then it's just, you just do it because there are certain parts that are just
There are.
more easy to
Heavens
understand
fall.
than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Fell Ruin Trio is somewhat easy. You've
We
already
skipped
done it
through a
now.
couple of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're like,
Got
all
through a
right,
lot
just
of them
spread and
very
then
fast.
stand and then you're good.
Yeah.
And same thing's happening. We're actually Todd and I were helping another group where we're doing on Primal, and we're helping two players start to prog. And let me
That
tell you,
one's a fun group.
it is so serious. We're pissed
Oh my
all the
god.
time, but we make the most of it. We just if somebody starts complaining, Todd just rescues them into fire. It's no big deal.
Yeah, that is my least favorite thing to do.
It's super fun. It's super fun. And we're memeing the whole way through and we're wiping a lot, we're making a lot of mistakes, and we're also recovering a lot too, like 30 deaths or something, and we're still going in the first minute.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's kind of some people want something super serious, precise, and that's fine. Curate the group. Some
Mhm.
people want it to be very loose, very, very just go at it, have fun, and that's fine too. And just probably what you make of it. If you want to study, study. If you want to just go at it blind, there are people who do that. Like I would say UCOB is harder than UWU, about on par with T on release, but nowadays UCOB is much more recoverable.
Yeah.
So I would say UCOB is probably the most party finderable. T and
Okay.
UWU are a little harder because you need certain comms and certain elements where you have to get used to your other players in the group in
Right.
T. And if you're always party findering, changing the people, it's a mixed bag. But UCOB, you could prog at your own rate because it's a personal accountability fight, right? So it doesn't matter what the other 7 are doing as long as you're doing what you need to do.
Yeah. I mean, I also kind of have a weird little advantage of watching literally tons of footage of people clearing it. Maybe not completely comprehending what they're doing, but I have a good visual knowledge of what the fight's going to look like, right? And so there's some things that make me a little bit different than the average, I guess, Final Fantasy 14 player that's trying to clear.
There are a lot of resources on UCOB. There are guides.
Yeah.
Xeno's got a great visual guide. Cleese has a great written guide. There's a lot of POVs for every job.
Tons
probably
of it,
with every strat. And there are like toolboxes and pictures and all kinds of
practice
write-ups.
parties. There's tons of practice parties
So,
right now. Crazy.
Yeah.
do you know what's
You
funny?
leave the stream and go and join one right now. Don't leave the stream. Support.
No, like so like what's actually kind of funny, and I keep forgetting. I forget when I do things. Sometimes I forget these things ever happen. But a long time ago, a couple of years ago, before COVID and everything else, Solari, which is a French esports group, went to Paris Games Week, and they worked to make a gauntlet event and invited like 4 teams to compete. And I was actually commentating that, and they were doing UCOB and ooh, and I had to commentate what was going on. And because of Klee's guide, I was able to kind of commentate that a little bit easier. So I kind of have this knowledge deep in the back of my head somewhere of how those fights operate. And what
You'd
to
be
really
like
do.
riding a bike, but without ever having ridden the bike.
Yeah, exactly. Reading about how to ride the bike and telling someone how to ride a bike constantly on the sidelines, then finally getting on the bike and doing
I
it.
can't believe they fell off.
Pedal the wheels harder.
Yeah. It's like I'm a fucking pundit for Savage Ultimate Rating. Oh, jeez. God, it's been so long of me doing this.
I do see somebody talking about a specific time frame to get in there for Party Finder. I would say now is that time. Right now. From here to Endwalker is that time.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess like time of day, time of week, and everything. What would your recommendation be?
That's some
There's
probably
prime
different per data
time.
center and time
Yeah.
zone.
Mm-hmm. So
Your data center's prime time.
let's talk about data centers in general. Now, is there some data centers that have an easier time than other data centers?
For Party Finder specifically, I would say yes. But there are discords for all of them.
Right. There's
Okay.
plenty of raiders on.
Okay. So you don't need to change your data center in order to...
Well, you can't come to Aether.
Yeah, Aether,
So-
you're blocked off.
So that's
but-
not fair.
Yeah, you can
Primal's
on
a really
Aether.
good one. They have a lot of really, really good players. If I could shout out Soviet Hammer and their group specifically, they have some really good strats in the UPR, which is like the Ultimate Primal Rating Discord, and they're actively in the parties themselves. So I would say that Primal's a really good one for Discord organized
UPR.
progression.
Nah.
Crystal's probably just the least active in party out of 3 for NA.
Crystal has good raiders,
They
but
do have good raiders.
running into them might be the challenge.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, this whole Aether thing has really changed
Sucks.
a lot.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I would definitely say Primal's probably the way to go. But if you're just doing regular Party Finder, when the fights are new, I actually think JP data centers are really good because people just queue for.
So, have you done any ultimates on the JP data center, by the way?
No, but I've watched.
I have.
You have? Llama, really?
Well, I mean, it was with like Zeph and like Pharaoh and those guys. So it's kind of like just. Like,
Oh, it's the
kinda like my home
Australian
turf.
JP.
Yeah, it's the Australian JP. Yeah, not so I wouldn't say like
But
Okay.
Party Finder
JP,
themselves,
like, with
even
random.
in Savage, they have like prog point Party Finders when things are new. So like practicing phase 1, so you know what you're getting into, right? You're gonna join that Party Finder. You're like, all right. But now NA is starting to get it too. Like Aether has a lot of like, here is twin prog, here is nail prog. We are working on this phase, and that's great.
Except no one reads the description, so they just join expecting clear.
And then they go, sorry, what were the strats again?
So let's talk about strats for these fights. Is there like usually just a one accepted strat for each ultimate, or is there like multiple different branches?
Yeah, it's like Savage where you have like the happy strat. There are different strats, but just like Savage or just like Extreme, people are want to do what they already know. Something might be easier or more simple, or the most of the group might like it, but there'll be like a person or two who are like, I only do this. And I mean, I found myself saying the same thing. So there are different ways to tackle it, but a lot of the strats are pretty identical. Like Ubu has a lot of like only one way you're really going to do things for the wakes. UCOB has a lot of variability. And I would say the beginning of T has so many different ways that you could position people.
But I mean, so the difference though is the ways you could do it and the ways that most people do it.
Right.
So is there one that is like really just everyone hangs on to, or do people
Per data
actually
center,
go to different
Yeah.
strats, it could change up a lot.
It largely depends on your data center. Like you're going to
Okay.
go to Primal, and if you use the UPR strats, like take UCub for example, they actually do the same quick march strat that we made in my static when the fight was new,
I
which was
like
super
that one.
cool.
Yeah,
It's a really good one. So
it's a good one.
for quick preface for people who know quick march trio or don't, it's the first trio of Bahamut. You have a situation where you have to run out to the sides, and a large section of the arena is going to get dive bombed by the 3 bosses, and you have to go out to the side to avoid it. At the same time, when the dive bomb happens, you're going to get twisters baited under players, which are a little AoE that explodes and kills everybody and knocks people away if they're near it. If you touch it, it's just everybody near it's dead. So you're supposed to run out to the wall, turn around, come back in. 3 DPS are going to get a swirly around them. That means they need to stack together. And then 1 DPS is going to get an Earthshaker marker, which is a line AoE that gives anybody in sight of it an Earth debuff. If you get hit by 2, you die. They also drop a puddle on the ground they need to avoid. At the same time, 2 healers are also going to get Earthshakers. So now you have two healers and 1 DPS get Earthshaker. The other 3 DPS get a stack. The 2 tanks have nothing, but there's a green tether that is transferable. There's 2 of them somewhere around the arena on players. And the tank's job is to grab those. And then they get a big twister explosion on them. That's a tank buster called Tempest Wing. So the idea is you set them up in a way where like the tanks and healers are kind of in line with each other. The healers further back, and the tanks will purposely take that Earthshaker and live. And then the DPS separate each other so that they don't Earthshake each other while also being stacked. Standard Pug strat on Aether has you'll have the tanks and healers on the sides, so like left and right, and you'll have a DPS with an Earthshaker up top, and you'll have the DPS stacked down bottom. And that works just fine, but sometimes the DPS going between the tanks will take that green tether off and kill themselves and kill other people. The strat we came up with when we were progging was, we were like, all right, we don't have a Scholar, we need the DPS together for Cure 3. When we dodge, we'll have the tanks and healers up top, and then they'll come back in up top, so top left, top right, and the DPS will come up and they'll meet for Cure 3, and then split off with like the Earthshaker on one side and the stack on the other side. And that's the way we did it. And I was like, this seems really intuitive. And then we did Party Finder, and we found out the Party Finder did the other thing with the cross. And sometimes people are like, oh, this sucks. You know, I just got to run away, and this is really bad, and I'm getting hurt. So UPR, which is the Primal Ultimate Rating Discord, also does the Quick March strat that we came up with. And they call it uptime because, I mean, you basically don't ever have to worry about the tanks. I like it because it's safe. So I choose things for safety and things that make sense intuitively. But you can do anything you want, but depending on the data center you're on, you may see a variance. I've also seen over on JP data centers, they do something where they'll send all the tanks and healers on one side and all the DPS on another, and then split off that way. So there's a bunch of different ways you could do it. It's just, if you understand the mechanic, you can do any strat.
Okay. So how do you feel about that, by the way? Like the mechanics in general for these ultimate fights, where you can have a level of control over how the fight's going to be. Like, it's not just the same exact thing every single time. You actually can say, hey, you could do it this way, this way, this way. Either way's fine as long as you get the clear, right? So
I think it's a good fight design, but it's bad for Party Finder if so many different people can't adapt. So many people learn a strat and not. I think you see it a lot in Cloud of Darkness, where people are like, I only know Happy Strat, I only know Myth Brambles, I only know, you know, they all only know one thing.
I only know go to this marker, and then that marker is now moved.
I can only stand on 2.
Then they just stand on it anyway, and then it's in a bad spot. You're like, you gotta learn the mechanic.
Right.
They're like, you know, I can only stand on the 2 marker. I went to the 2 marker, but it's not where it normally is, so I died. You're
exactly. Like, it's the children who are wrong.
Yeah. So I like that there are options, but it hurts Party Finder when people are stubborn. Is what I would say.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to
puggable when it's not.
Yeah, and the thing is with Ultimate, you have to be a little bit less stubborn in the end, right? If you want to clear it.
Sure.
And that's why there's so many jaded people shit talking other people who cleared it have never cleared it because they're too stubborn to do it the way that's not legitimate enough. But I guess when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter. You can clear it on any data center. Just some might be a little bit easier, like Primal or Aether might have an easier time overall. There is a Discord for Crystal, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Actually, in my Discord, I have an Ultimate section, and I linked all the appropriate Discords for people who want to get in.
Okay.
I have an ultimate rating one for all data centers, as well as Aether, Primal, and Crystal. And I know that they exist. I'm in a light one as well. I'm sure Chaos and JP have them too. I just don't have access to them.
Right. Okay. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about future Ultimate too. Since I figured this is a great time to do it. People who have lots of experience with Ultimate in general. We know what it's going to be. It's going to be Dragon Song War, right?
Just in excitement. It's ready.
I know. Yeah.
So
amazing.
Let's talk about that. So Dragon Song War. What do we expect in Dragon Song War? We expect Nidhogg, right? Some
I
level.
hope so.
Nidhogg's going to be there.
To the very earliest, we can expect, the Knights of the Round in some capacity, because that's what they showed us when they
12
apologized.
faces.
Like, look,
For each night.
we're sorry, it's not out this expansion. Understandably, COVID happened, right? And then they're like, well, here's the arena, and they showed us the end of the vault, and we were like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's gonna be some sort of like maybe shield mechanic, right?
I hope that's the wake. Is in an alternate universe we save somebody.
Maybe we get a
party
chance.
member.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll save
history.
a paladin.
Something. Maybe.
Frosty, you're saving Frosty.
Yeah,
No, for context,
We're
for
blocking
people who
the
haven't done ultimates, you go and you talk to the wandering minstrel or the minstreling wanderer, and this NPC goes, "Do you remember this time you fought this boss?" And you go, "Yeah, I remember that." They go, "Do you remember the time it was all like?" And they go so extra, right? It's like a Michael Bay movie, and you're like, "No, I don't." You remember when all your friends died and there was explosions everywhere and everything was on fire and he went Super Saiyan? No, great, let's do that. And that's so they're very over the top fiction tales of what you've done. So when you're going into an ultimate, you can kind of speculate on the side of what would have been really cool. Like you're like, okay, what if we fought Alexander, but in Alexander, like he was super cool and he fused with all the other robots or something, right?
Right.
And you can kind of jump to conclusions on that. I think we could definitely expect the Knights of the Round, for sure.
Yeah.
And like you said, Nidhogg.
Nidhogg. What else besides those two? I mean, those are the big highlights of the Dragon Song War.
Estinian, probably.
I think maybe we can expect. Here's my speculation. Here's what I think would be cool. I think it would be cool if we fought the Knights of the Round, right? We beat Thordan, and then we fight Nidhogg, because there was the whole Estinian Nidhogg thing, right? But what if when we beat Nidhogg in this timeline, Estinian didn't take the eyes back? What if Thordan takes them, and now we fight Draconic Knights of the Round, or like a Dragon Rider Thordan?
Yeah, we get a phase for each night. Be the longest one yet.
Yes, it'll be a 45
Filthy rats.
encounter.
What if the title was Filthy Legend?
I think a lot of people
baby.
they are looking for a
that.
Thordan with Knights of the Round and just like super expand it, like way more intense than what it was, and really just deep diving into what Knights of the Realm could be as a hard fight. And people are excited for that, but I feel like they're going to have to add in more than just that. I really do think Knights of the Round could make its own fight, its own ultimate,
absolutely.
without anything else.
They took dungeon bosses that they could have given more mechanics to, right? And then even in the normal to the extreme version of Thordan, you fought different mechanics and different sequences of the night. And if you go by it, like, we have to fight Thordan logically, because they gave us Ucob, which was Bahamut, the raid boss, and they gave us T, which was Alexander, the raid boss, and they gave us Ultima Weapon, which was the story boss. So giving us Thordan as the story boss would just thematically make sense. Nidhogg I could expect, but I don't think I would be completely surprised if Nidhogg wasn't in it.
Well, Nidhogg and Hrossvegr maybe at the same time. Like that would be your Cruise Chaser and Brute Justice or whatever at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, for all the Wandering Minstrel knows, we fought all the dragons, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end, you have this super white, black kind of mixed dragon Estinian that you fight.
Another Megazord made of dragons.
Yeah. Just with jumbled dragons. And then you have like the faces of the Knights of the Round just like sticking out of it. It's just a big blob.
Like a Hydra of the first brood.
Oh, gross.
Oh.
And maybe even Tiamat's there.
Mm-hmm.
We knew about Tiamat, but we didn't know it was chained it. I mean,
What if
Yeah,
it was
steps-
Midgard Surmer? They just finally throw them
Could
in
be,
and just
sure.
like, hey, this is what your actual
Like-
fight with him would be like.
like we fight
Get that
Nidhogg,
bulwark
and then
passing.
Midgard's like, "You don't hit my kid," and then comes in and
Yeah.
fights
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, that would be intense. I'd be ready for it though, and it's gonna be shiny at the end, in some way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, with Perfect Alexander, we had time. That
Mhm.
was the big thing of the trick that they threw in there. And then with Ultimate Weapon, what was the really big thing with them? It was they kind of just had
Waking them,
waking them. Okay, that was the big
Yeah.
thematic thing.
which I guess goes in sense with like summoning the primals, because that's what happens, right? I don't know, because Ultima wanted to absorb the ultimate power, right?
Mhm.
That was the idea, was it would become strong by absorbing the ultimate primals, and then we found out they're like the weakest primals in existence, and we're gonna fight them 35 more times.
With Dragon Song War, the big mechanic, the big thing with that would be what? What would be like the big thing that would stand out for that theme?
I still
That's
think
a hard one, I think.
shield and lance, and maybe just something with Nidhogg's eyes,
Shield
sort of
and lance.
empowering mechanic.
So
Okay.
so the betrayal and taking the power of the dragons is what the Ishgardians were ultimately after, right? Because dragons had like immense power via the eyes. I would be pretty surprised if it didn't have to do with the eyes.
We're gonna have to do a
But it
lot of
could-
turn
it
away
could be Other
mechanics.
things too.
Yeah,
I mean,
could be.
maybe there's some sort of peace between the dragons. You know, maybe we even have to fight Shiva. Who knows? Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
Ysayle was a large part of the dragon.
You know what's so
Song War.
fucking funny? Dude, we got Shiva again. Just another Shiva. You know, we're just never gonna be done with Shiva.
We're never going to be done with a few of them. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nidhogg rampant. Man.
Oh.
Knights rampant.
Knights. There you go. Knights rampant.
Mhm.
Knights of the round rampant.
You think they?
I think we could expect a lot of gaze mechanics.
Yeah. A lot of maybe there'll be a lot of jumping around mechanics, right? For dragoons and stuff, you got to like jump around to do certain mechanics.
Sure.
I don't know how.
Maybe
do you,
the wake is having a dragoon.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you guys think about adding those type of mechanics though to like ultimates in general, like action, raid action buttons and things where you have to go
like a
click on
goodie
stuff.
action?
Like, you know, Leviathan, you had to go click on the Elementor or whatever, or just like
like an interactable thing. In the
yeah,
game.
things they have to
sure.
interact with.
That's not too bad. Somebody's got to do it. I was the Gobwalker rider in all of A2, and I enjoyed it. So my opinion's a hot take.
Yeah,
I loved it.
that was me too.
I like doing something different, right? Because we you know, it's like 10 years of like Protean waves and like spread stacks and stuff, and finally you're in this machine and you're riding around. It's great. Sure, I would. Whatever, as long as it's not there just to be pressed. If it's there for like a reason and it makes sense, sure. But if they just like that's also like content bloat and like your rotation, right? Like if you're just pressing a button to press it because they just want it to be busier, that's a like. But if it's there because it makes sense, all for it.
Yeah.
So I really like the Ramu thing. Like you had to interact, you had to put that shield up as a tank. That was cool, and it took us a long time to figure out because we were all trying to press it. I think it's great.
God, I'm trying to think of anything else that they could do, like those fights in particular. I guess we didn't talk too much about the primals of Heaven's Ward, right? Throwing those in there and having the triad.
You mean like the Warring Triad?
Yeah, the Warring Triad is part of it. Because I don't know.
The Warring Triad would make its own fight. I don't think it had anything to do really with Thornton. I mean, they did go to Oz's Law, but I feel like it would make its own fight. Like, how cool would it be if they added a Kefka version of it, but instead it was like you fight the Warring Triad.
Final Fantasy VI.
And then like Hydra becomes Kefka, right? Because he was after the power.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to see Kefka again. I feel like it's good on its.
Not actual Kefka, but you see like Regulus von Hydra become like in this timeline he absorbs the power. of them and becomes some super boss, because that was kind of what they were hinting at.
I don't know. I feel like the Warring Triad just fits with kind of the
I
theme
would
that they
love
would
it.
go through. Yeah. So
I had it all mapped out too. Give us the fight. So we start on Sophia, right? We start on Sophia's arena. We're fighting Sophia.
jump.
She asks us if we
I
can
like
bring
that.
equilibrium, and then we get stunned in place, and half of us get knocked off into Zervin's arena, and the other half get knocked off into Sephiroth's arena. And then we're fighting our way through, and Sephiroth does the arm mechanic where he sweeps away, and we get knocked up from the words, and we're back on Sophia's platform, and then we get knocked over to Zervin's arena, and now all 8 of us are fighting Zervin, and we beat Zervin, and then it crumbles apart and puts us back up. We fight Sophia, and then we get knocked back over to Sephiroth. We finish him off. We fight Sophia at the end, and then we take her down, and we're that would be so cool. The Warring Legend, please.
Sounds like
And
a lot
Thor
of motion
happens
sickness,
like every
man.
12 seconds.
Yeah. I just don't know how they would mix Thornton in with that too. It just feels like it would be kind of like a goofy mix, right? So I don't know.
I don't know. I
We'll
think
see.
it would be its own fight.
Yeah, but how would they make? Or are they going to just start saying, "Hey, now we'll do 3 ultimates based on the expansion instead of just 2"? I mean,
You know what, though? If they ever want to revisit it, there's nothing saying they have to do something from the previous expansion, right? So
Yeah.
they could do it at any time. If they want to. Or in try, I think would be
Yeah.
really-
Give us a Alliance Raid like Ultimates. Give us a Final Fantasy Tactics Ultimate.
Sure.
It'd be amazing.
The original
There's a
Thunder
lot
God
of
Sid
bosses
was
they didn't
pretty
touch.
hard.
Yeah. I'd be down for that. Tactics.
Tactics would be good, man. All right. So going into this, how much do you expect when we go into Endwalker that T might fall a little bit out of relevance in like some level or some way?
Completely.
Completely?
For the first. So the thing about it is we know, like we're guaranteed we're getting Dragon Song Ultimate in the next year, right?
Right.
Which means that people are going to be gearing. If they're gearing and they're not week 1 clearing, they're going to be spending time clearing. And if they're Party Finder clearing, they're going to be focusing on that because it's going to take even longer to get best in slot. And if you're playing something like, let's say Todd plays Ninja and Dragoon, 2 completely different sets of equipment, which means that it's taking them twice as long to gear up, and the tomestones. So I really feel like Ultimates will fall to the wayside once the expansion begins.
Right.
Yeah.
You're gonna have new stuff, shiny new toys. Who doesn't want a
kind
shiny
of how it
new
is,
toy?
yeah.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, that's the only thing that I think people should probably be considering right now is if you're not trying to do it right now, then you may be waiting like a year before you start seeing like that boom and Ultimates come through again. Because it's gonna be a pretty intense start to the expansion, right? We know, we know 6.1 is going to be Dragon Song War Ultimate. We know. There's just not a way they could get away with not doing it then.
I think it would be an uproar, and they did largely say it's complete, right? So
yeah,
the timing is good.
So we're coming out with a whole fresh expansion, tons of new people. A month later, we're going to have Savage Raid. 2 to 3 months after that, we're going to have Ultimate. So it's going to be really hard to find people who are not trying to experience all this new content, leveling Sage, leveling Reaper, going through.
The story's going to be longer, right? 40% longer or something? It's going to take a lot.
Yeah, story is going to be huge because when Endwalker's released, it's over.
I know. I can't wait for that, man.
And then it's hitting a dummy, learn your rotation, all new stuff. Maybe a new
rotations.
Job.
Yeah. PvP, you know.
PvP.
That too. I'm looking forward to the new game, but we just don't know anything yet.
Yeah, nothing yet, man.
I'm looking forward to it.
But there's a lot of stuff coming in with this expansion that's going to, like, the reasons why Ultimates are so popular right now is because it's the content that is consistently relevant for people who love raiding, and it's the goal. And so once we start off with this whole giant, because it's going to be crazy, because right now everything's really up and exciting and everything with no new content. When we get like a giant batch of new content, like, what is it going to look like? We're going to be so busy. There's going to be so much shit to do.
I think we're going to have blogging queues too.
Time to be alive.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope the servers are okay.
And I strongly recommend people be nice to each other and log out when you're not playing, because it'll just create a bigger problem. You might be like, oh, I'll stay logged in. It'll be fine. It may make it a little harder. But like Ultimates now, while people are wanting to... So normally the end of the bucket list, what? We have level all your jobs, complete a deep dungeon, maybe Blue Mage content, and
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
ultimates. There's always something to do, but those are like the highlights of an end of expansion. And I would say prioritize the ultimate if you can. Not because I love it, but because you could do deep dungeon and stuff on your own, right? And they're like, it's probably easier to organize a Blue Mage content piece than it is an ultimate. So do them now while people are doing them.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it's starting to freak me
We'll
out
be
a little
around.
bit.
And you're never too new to the game. You're never too new to the game. Rich did ultimate, and he was brand new, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right.
You're never too
Guy's
new.
worst player in the world, and he did ultimate.
He didn't do any Savage. I mean, we did like the unlock, but like it was all unsynced and stuff, and right in ultimate.
And he even carried us.
He did. Carried Sphere.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sphere's small.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's easy to carry, dude. By the way, real quick side note on that. I am going to be with Sphere tomorrow morning at like 7 a.m. Pacific time, like 10 Eastern. And we will be on Echo Stream. And we'll be commentating them doing Savage. And I think right now, I don't know how far they've gotten, but they were, when they were finishing the stream, on Leviathan. And we expect that means that we might be seeing world first WoW guild try to clear Titan tomorrow. And that's going to be really exciting because Titan was a fight, man. It was
hell yeah.
It was a
hard one.
Yeah, Rin and I will be there.
Okay,
we will. We're after you.
Oh, you're guessing after? You're after me? You're not
after. I think
you're setting us up. I think you're setting up Todd.
I'm in the middle.
Set the stage for me. What time
I might be around
time?
noon. I think they said noon for me.
What time your time,
Eastern?
Frost?
7 a.m. my time. I get on, so I'm in like the
That's 10.
middle of it.
Yeah, so Todd's gonna go right after you, and then I'm going right after Todd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm there for a 3. Like I'm not there for a guest part. Like I'm there.
Yeah.
You're there for a chunk, so you'll probably be talking to us. Who knows?
I hope so.
I hope.
Real shitty if you guys dodge me like that.
That's true. That's true.
I'd be.
So I'll be on
I'd
at
like
10
to shoot
Pacific.
the shit with you.
Yeah.
And Todd will be there at 9 Pacific.
And it's weird for me because like I haven't done this like PvE stuff commentating in a while. It's been nearly a year.
I don't actually know if the Echo Raiders are aware of the second phase of Titan. Like they did normal mode, obviously, but I don't think they're aware.
No, they don't know.
They're not supposed to know
everything. They're not
at all.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great either way. Just experiencing, just seeing. Like even when we got there, like we were like, "There's got to be something else, right?" But we didn't know what it was going to be.
Yeah. And it's going to be real exciting to see that because that last fight is always the one that has that super surprise on it, which is, going back to Ultimate, seeing those surprises live on stream, fucking, like, wonderful. Because you see, because when the world race is happening, for Ultimate, you're not seeing where the furthest players are. You're seeing where the first players on stream are, right? And so even though you're not seeing where like the world first and world second teams are at the moment, you're still in that excitement with everyone that's watching it on stream, with all the people, the furthest people that are on stream and everything else. And so it is so much fun to cover that and then see what that next phase is and then geek out when you see like cruise chasers start coming down and like slamming into people after living liquid. And then people spend hours and hours trying to figure out this number puzzle with a transition with Cruise Chaser. That was amazing. I love that, dude. What was it? Arthas was the one. Arthur's was the one that was like freaking out over it, and there's like videos of him like having breakdowns, I think.
Yeah, I hope to see some of those WoW Raiders like continue and even just try some of the ultimates too.
I would love
one time. That's okay, but oh my god, getting to watch them go at it would be so good.
Like Blind Prog Ultimate, man, that'd be.
Man, I think Ooh's my favorite one to watch people try to do blind because you get that wake and it's kind of obvious, but it's also not, and you get far enough into the fight where you're like more than halfway done, but you're actually nowhere.
I'm really curious how world first teams would kind of be able to analyze and figure that out, not being as familiar with Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going to be like that would be a real interesting thing to see because it's just a big puzzle.
Mhm.
Once they get it, though, I mean, I don't know. I want to see it. I want to see it. Um,
Mhm.
but I guess I'm trying to think of the other things I wanted to go over with Ultimate, so we don't forget. Because I get sidetracked so easy on the same show.
It's okay.
No, you're good.
Yeah. But with helping people clear Ultimate, let's say someone watching this wants to clear it, is it literally just join into a Discord and start asking around? What's the process of that? Like, what's that experience like for a person who's trying to get into clearing Ultimates?
It's
Um,
impossible. You can't do them. Nobody helps ever.
Yeah, no one
These
helps.
clears don't
Yeah,
happen.
clear for ones don't happen ever.
I mean, obviously, you guys are pretty booked in your own regard. You're helping a lot of people
yeah.
out.
There's,
Yeah.
there's a
Well,
lot of people, like we see Xeno
yeah.
helping a lot too. You violent destructions in party finders a lot. I see Momo doing party finders. Although sometimes they're joining just parties that are like reclears, or it's a clear for one because the person's at the end of the fight.
Mhm.
Yeah, but congrats.
Yeah, but
But yeah, I'd say like for like Ren and myself, it's probably be harder for us to have another like static committed to that, but we can get people started and help people in certain prog points if you just want to like chip away at it. And then there's the option of just going into Party Finder and these other discords that were linked earlier. And just the more studying you do, the more like familiar you are with the fight, like you could join those like later prog groups. It's really up to you. Like how much like do you want to prepare?
You know, I
I'm
am
trying to do a
curious.
better. I overbook a lot.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
trying to be better about
Yeah,
that.
I know.
Yeah.
Where were you last night, Ren? Gosh, come
UCOB.
on. You're supposed to be doing PvP with me.
Instead of PvP, I was doing UCOB.
Oh,
I
man.
think now like it's what Todd and I have been finding some nice stuff with is like, oh, our raids canceled? Instead of being like, oh, this sucks, like, great.
I
Who
know.
wants to do UCOB?
Oh my god. I know. Then we go back in and do UCOB with like, yeah, just
Like
whoever.
who wants to frog? So now it's like the impromptu
like those
raids are
nights.
kind of my favorite because
Yeah.
it's just like, here's your chance. There's people who are like, can we set up times or can you? And I get a lot of people who are like, can you join my static? We had somebody drop.
I
Can you just
know, I
join us
wish.
for all of Prague? And I'm like, I want to.
We want to.
But I
We want to
can't.
be
And
everywhere.
every
but
group wants to
man.
run at prime time.
Mm.
And it's hard. So now it's like we'll just work together. You know, we're gonna work together. We'll get it.
You know,
We'll get it done when we're free.
I am curious what the Party Finder experience is like for Ultimate and how player attitudes normally are. Because I do know, you know, I have experience going through Party Finder and people being real shitty. It just being like, oh, fuck you.
Sure.
I thought this was supposed to be like, you know, you're supposed to know all these mechanics. You messed up once, I'm out. How stable is Party Finder Ultimate groups?
You are going to find a lot of similarities. It depends on the prog point. If the prog says like we're working on ads phase of UCOB, which is it's like 11 minutes in, right? And then you're wiping to nail. 3 pulls in, people are like, sorry, this isn't what I signed up for, and they'll leave.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be along the lines of like what you experience in Savage, where one mechanic is listed as the prog point. You just have to subtract 2 or 3 from that.
I mean,
For
isn't
actual
that
prog.
like the expectation though? I think if you're doing Party Finder, is that people,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
in the first couple of pulls, are going to make some mistakes, and
I think so.
But you have the same people that are in Party Finder for other things. So you can expect the same responses. That is why I just challenge people to just write that, like, if you're going to make a Party Finder, just write that mistakes are okay. And you set the expectations yourself, right?
Well, yeah, it's not just like mechanics, but like the synergy. Like are you going to work well with this co-tank? Is this or this
100%.
co-healer? Like are people going to like click and like work well together?
Mhm.
And it takes several pulls just to kind of get that going.
Right.
Like maybe you've always moved a certain way to dodge Twister, and somebody else is now in that path, and you refuse to adjust. Somebody's got to change.
Mm.
And sometimes people would rather just
yeah.
not play in that Party Finder than adjust.
I only know Southwest around the boss. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I played with somebody recently who literally only did the same movement every time. They're like, there was a Twister in my way.
R3
We're like,
only.
well, that's the way they're moving, and they're like, well, that's how I'm moving. Like, well, you know it's going to happen. Could you? It's a little around. No, have a nice time. You're like, all right, and that'll happen. But a lot of times too, you'll find people who are more than happy to work around things. And we do outgear UCOB. I mean, it was killed with 8 tanks, right? It's not that bad. But it is still difficult. It's daunting. When I say it's not that bad, what I mean is you can move things around. Maybe an extra heal goes here. Maybe a star goes there. Maybe somebody walked out of the star. I did it to Todd last night. All kinds of things happen.
So we've said a lot of positive things, you know, in general with Ultimate being able to go in there and clear and all these other things. I do want to just do this for my own sake, and I don't want people to say, "Oh, now you're saying this, I don't want to do it." But I want to hear the worst stories you've had with Ultimate. Some of the worst experiences you've had working, trying to get clears for Ultimates and things that were just little horror stories. Can you give me any of those? Or have you had no horror stories at all? It's always been
Arguing over using an invuln at the beginning of a fight when it doesn't matter in the end. That's something that's recent. Or somebody's like, I have to home gang this opening buster. Well, you could use a cooldown. I have to use home gang because that's what Party Finder does. Well, you didn't die to it. And they're just going back and forth. And I'm like, I'll heal you anyway. Do what you want. It's better to use it here. It's better to use it there. Doesn't matter. Just do it. Or like we need a backup baiter for like liquid health. So liquid health are targeted AoE on a player at a certain proximity away from the boss, and it can pick anybody. And then sometimes people, I've never done it before. I can't do it. All right, well, this is your job that you picked when you queued in. You're up. You're okay to make mistakes. Nah, somebody else do it. And you're like, but these are they really are far and few between. But this also might be, and Todd may have had different experiences. I think it's because of who we are, and people may be on a better behavior than you might expect.
This might be true. They recognize the name. They realize we're streaming, so they're probably...
So I do want to talk about that a little bit. That whole presence of people being completely different around you. I have had gone through groups, and I'm like, man, this guy's so nice and everything, and he's doing everything like, man, I really appreciate this person. And then like I see like him interact with other people, and he's just like, oh, you're a piece of shit, you fucking idiot, I can't believe you did. I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
I see people like they talk differently in other chats, like other stream stuff too. It's just kind of like conform to the present company.
Sometimes people are just having a bad day too.
Yeah,
sometimes people are just having a bad day. I try to I had somebody, I was doing Leviathan Unreal 2 days ago. There was somebody in Party Finder, and they were just like a sailor every second, and they made a mistake, and you know, chat was like party chat was like, look, if you just do this, we'll be fine, we'll live. And they just went off. And at the end, I was just like, sir, this is a Wendy's. and I was like, look, we're just trying to have fun. And other people like, yeah, we're just going for our weekly thing. And the guy was like, I've just been trying really hard to clear E12 and things aren't going well. And it seems like I'm hitting a wall that I can't overcome. And we're like, there it is. There's the problem. And we were like, look, you got this. And everybody else is sharing their stories. And like, E12's really hard. And I was like, you know, it's a hard one. It's the final fight of the expansion. You got this. And then he was fine for the rest of the time, right? Sometimes people are just dealing with something, and maybe they can't express it, or maybe they don't want to. You know, other things happen too. And if you judge somebody based on one experience, that could be damning, and it can hurt. And sometimes too, you'll find maybe somebody is just being a jerk, right? And if you don't give them the chance to get better, they may not see a point, and they'll continue to be a jerk, and then that sucks, right? Some people are just unruly. But if you can foster a positive environment and get people to cheer up and have fun in raids, because it affects the aura of the rest of the group, right? Like if somebody comes in with a shitty attitude, you're gonna have a shitty environment. Yeah, it's way more contagious. So if you can help people feel better, it helps. I would say if you do run into people who are unruly, just try to turn the other cheek. Be a little bit better. And, you know, I myself have had my demons in the past where I've been upset too, right? And it sucks, and you regret it, and you try to get better, right? And sometimes it happens. Sometimes you're just having a bad day. But I definitely think Todd and I see a lot of streamer privilege where people are like, wow, you know, I've been looking really forward to you playing.
Right.
And then like Todd's saying, you check another stream, and then the person's just being kind of like...
You know, I do want to talk about this because I think this has been kind of a meme and personality for you. Is the Bob Ross stuff that you do, Rin? How did that come about?
So I try to curate my calls based on like when I am shot calling or just the atmosphere in general. I try to base it around people like you know, Todd and I were helping a UCOB group recently. He said that we took 6 people in fresh, right? We did that last week. Like, you've taken a lot of fresh people in, but I remember we had one where somebody was, I'm not going to name drop them because they were very nervous. They didn't do
Yeah.
anything wrong. They were just extremely nervous. You're like, how do you feel about that? And they're like, if I could just have a minute to calm down. And we're like, sure. And you know what? After that, for the rest of the time we were in there, I was not hype about anything because they said their blood pressure was going through the roof. So they need a calm environment. And that's when this voice comes out. Right. And for Rich was raiding for his first time. I didn't want him to feel panicked. So I just did some of this. I was like, all right, you're going to get ready to move for Twister. Move now. All right, get ready. You're going to run away from us. You're going to bait. I'll count them out for you. 1, 2, 3. You know, and then I just start memeing. I'm like Quattro 5 in German. And I know it's foof, but I just crack a joke, make him laugh, see where his limits were, because I've never raided with him in WoW. I don't know where he's come from. And then people just started coming into my chat and they're like, you're the Bob Ross of Final Fantasy. And I was like, I did a Bob Ross cosplay last year. Let me bust it out for the next time. And then it just kind of took off, right? But some people, I will change how I'm doing it. Some people really hype and energetic, right? Because they're just in it. They're ready. They're rearing to go. And you know, we're in a group that Todd and I are raiding with on the weekends. Where we're helping with Astis, who is Corey, and we're helping Sonic and stuff, and we're just full memes because that's
Crystal,
the dynamic of the group. Crystal, huge, like everybody there is just so funny and entertaining, and that's the environment we have.
High energy, that one.
And you know, I think a lot of people hold this to my face still to this day. Was when we were doing Tank Cobb, I had somebody who was in the military, and he, you know, I was doing my nice stuff, like, you know, here we're good. And then he was like, look, if I wanted you to be all like gumdrops and raindrops, like I'd ask for it, but don't patronize me. Like if I'm fucking up, just tell me I'm a fucking idiot. And I'm like, dude, I'm just doing this. He's like, look, if I tell you you're too strong for me, I'll let you know to your face. So I'm like, all right, fucking here we go, drill sergeant. And then there was a couple of clips people have made of me where I was just like, stop fucking up. But it's what he asked for. So I tried to curate it to them. It doesn't make for a good streamer experience, but I was respectful of the person's needs and what they wanted. And they were offended when I was lighthearted. And sometimes people will be that way. But I've come a long way now, and I think that I would rather just be lighthearted with people. And if you're offended by that, maybe it's not the environment for you.
Exactly. I think
that's where it came in.
Yeah. Okay. We do a pretty good job gauging like who's in our group and just like where they're like, if kind of check their nerves and like how their comfort level and stuff. And I think we excel at like creating these environments that are, you know, patient, empowering. And, like we want this to be accessible to you, and we want you to have a good time. And yelling at someone, screaming at someone, unless they ask for it, like in that case,
which I still
not going to help.
Done.
Yeah, it's not going to help. It's not going to like. Yeah, it's just going to cause people to like hide their mistakes instead of like start asking questions. It's like, oh, I shouldn't do that again. It's like, well, no, we want you to ask. Like, if you're confused on a mechanic, just ask. Yeah.
Todd's exceptional at it, and sometimes you invite somebody to chat, and they come into voice and they just start going off, and you're like, sir, this isn't even a Wendy's.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Most of the time, I will always avoid voice because I just can't stand there being a chance of someone making an awkward comment or being weird or something in there. And I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are pushing buttons just to push buttons.
Yeah.
And I've definitely been in those situations as well. And I've lost my cool, and it sucks. But we're human, right? People make mistakes. It happens. Not everybody's infallible. But like when it comes to like the Rin Ross thing, man, I mean, of course that's not how I fucking talk every day, right?
Yeah.
but if people are enjoying it and it's funny and they feel comfortable with that, and we're raiding for 3 hours, yeah, I could do that for 3 hours. Why not? I'm happy to do it because who I am is somebody who wants to help entertain and help people feel comfortable. If I could do that, whatever. After stream, I'll just go lay down on the couch and like yell at wrestling.
Do you like wrestling?
I used to. Nowadays, you know what I've started watching, and it's so I mean, I like MMA, but have you ever watched the slap boxing? I watched it once and I can't. I can't. It's way too intense, man. It is.
I've heard of it.
That's how you get cauliflower ear, man.
It's so bad. Yeah. They were getting messed up.
Yeah.
It was so gruesome.
I don't know why the slapping has become
People
such a
want
big
something
thing.
more intense, man.
I guess, man. Wow.
They're like big boys too.
Really?
Yeah, they're like bodybuilders and stuff. It's crazy. Don't watch it.
You get
I'll never watch
concussions
it.
and shit, dude. Like, why would
Yeah,
you?
you
They did.
get
They
knocked
did.
out with those slaps.
I watched one guy. He missed.
I'd rather
he
be
missed the
punched.
cheek and hit him in the top of the head, and the guy just dropped.
What happens in that situation? Does he get disqualified or something, or like?
No, the guy
No?
standing wins.
Oh, okay.
You win. He's dead.
Oh my god. All right. Well, fortunately, Ultimate's not like that.
Yeah,
Yes, like-
fortunately.
No.
yeah.
But I mean, I know we've talked a lot of positives, and I'm sure there's negatives out there. But I just challenge people to be a little bit more understanding of mistakes. It's
Mhm.
not a sprint; it's a marathon. Mistakes will happen to everybody, and you need so much focus too that sometimes you'll look away for a second, like maybe your phone rang or something, or you're just looking away for a second. You'll look back, and now you've just killed everybody. You know, maybe you had a thunder, or there was a mechanic you're supposed to run away from, and now you're just like, oh, I'm hosed. And you're just done.
I do want to say I like how you guys are in the exact same room right now.
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
Todd's right
Hold
over
on.
there.
Almost.
No,
You're a
wait,
little bit
is it?
Wait, no. There we
No,
go.
no, it was just
Wait,
cropped
wait,
a little
wait,
bit. You gotta pull your hand a little bit back. Now we gotta go. Llama go up or down a little bit, and then Rin go up a little bit,
There we go.
and then you need to go a little bit closer, Llama. A little bit closer. Push it a little bit closer.
I'm trying. I'm waiting to
You get,
see
no,
your
you.
crop on the.
You gotta. It's just you're almost there. You can do it. All right, that's good. That's close enough. You just like shoot your hand through his arm. Just...
From the side.
Oh, I need to get some lighting for my room, dude. Jesus Christ, I feel like.
Well, if you have the blue, I've got the purple blend, right? Actually, that's not even.
I do have some lights that I put up here.
Oh.
That I could probably do stuff with, but it's not on the room. It's on me, and I could do like these different colors here. I got like yellow.
Oh, nice.
All right, I got red, and I got blue, and I can put them in these lights and change the color a little bit. But
Well, you can make purple, right? You could combine two of them.
oh, you're right.
Why
I can
not?
fucking change.
could.
I got the whole color spectrum. I just have to combine them, right?
You're
All of them.
jamming,
All of
man.
them make
Yeah,
brown.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what it looks like when I do Ultimate too. All of them make brown. But yeah, no, there's a small chance that I will mess around with Ultimate. I want to, I really do, because I feel like raiding has been such a fucking huge part of my life. It's so weird with.
I was surprised when you said you didn't do them. I honestly thought you had.
Yeah, I just haven't spent the time for it, man, and I know I can.
Yeah, we'll need a frosty cob for sure at some point, or
at
just
some
like,
point.
or just like hop in with us like, wet.
Just hop in and just fuck the whole
just
thing
hop
up and just ruin the night.
Yeah.
No.
No, you'll clear.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, quick 20 minutes in and out.
Listen, you kept a spreadsheet of all the people who cleared. That means
I know.
you know the fight.
I have a spreadsheet of all of it. I've talked to people, had deep conversations about all of the ultimates many times, but I have not cleared them myself. I feel like it's something that I probably should do. But we are getting towards the end here. And this has been like a fantastic show. I love hanging out with you guys so much.
Yeah, it's been fun.
You're always a lot of fun. Always very knowledgeable, friendly. Nothing too bad. You don't come on here and tell everyone their shit. And I appreciate that kind of stuff. Yeah.
We're all people, There's always going to be somebody better than you, and there's always going to be somebody you're better than.
Well, I don't know if
we're
that's
all just
completely true on
driving
that last part.
Well, Frost, you're at the top.
I
You're the
don't know.
PvP guy. You're known best for PvP.
Yeah. When I saw that, they're
Known
like,
best.
they're making a list. They're like, but known best for being really into PvP. And I'm like,
Oh no!
Great.
all right,
man.
all right, cool, man.
Yes.
Doing world races, doing MogTalk, commentating, doing all this
PvP.
other shit. It's PvP, just like it. Although I do really
Also,
like it.
I wanted to make a quick comment too. I was reading somebody
Sure.
said they wanted a leader like me for the first time, and they were nervous at getting somebody like Xeno. Xeno's wonderful.
He is
Xeno's wonderful. I've played with him many a time. He helped Todd's group get through T. And
fantastic
raid
raid leader in T. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
He'll
he's
let
gonna
you know when
say
you fuck up.
he's gonna
He
say
will.
why'd you fuck up, right? He's
Yeah,
gonna call
he
you out
wants-
for it. Make sure you learn.
he wants to know if you understand why you fucked up. So yeah, you get called out, but he's a great leader. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a really scary thing is like, why'd you die? And somebody goes, pull again?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that's not going to help.
Yeah. I do want to talk about that just a tiny bit about the whole raid leader part of things. And I feel like that's a whole nother episode on its own. But like the whole raid leader part, I did raid leading, by the way, a casual raid. We raided 2 to 3 times a week. And I did that for years. And a lot of people will look at people like yourself, Rin, Todd, and maybe they'll think, hey, you know, I want my raid leader to be like them. It's just like looking at Matt Mercer and wanting your DM to be Matt Mercer.
Oh my God.
It's not always going to be in that situation. You know, there's different groups of people, different styles, different expectations. And being a good raid leader, I think, has a lot to do with working and morphing. I mean, not completely morphing, but being able to work with the group of people and all kind of getting along and trying to fill in and schedule and coordinate shit and, you know, make the best of whatever situation is put in front of you. But for people who are wanting to lead a group, is there any quick advice that you maybe could give, Ren, to people who want to be better at raid leading?
That's been most of my DMs is not, can you run with me? It's how do I help lead my group?
Yeah.
Or most of it has not been, I want my leader to be like you. It's been, how do I lead a group? I'm forming a static. How do I get my group to perform better? And the advice I give people is, well, the first thing you need to do is you need to figure out like the mission statement of your group, right? What are the goals? What are you after? Because that is going to temper the rest. If you want to go super serious, then you could start holding people accountable for their mistakes in a respectable way, right? Like if people don't care and they'll just clear whenever and that's all you're going for, then have fun, right? Just make jokes. If people make mistakes, whatever. Like, and I said, try to temper it. Like my group started out when I first was the leader of my group way back in the beginning. Well, it was the end of Heaven's Ward. We wanted to world race, we wanted to speed run, and we wanted to alt run and be optimal and just create really good strats. So we were super focused, super down to the, like no mistakes, no fun. And then we'd have fun once that was done. But while we were figuring it out, people were like, I'm here for this very specific amount of time with this very specific goal. We're like, okay, we'll be respectful of one another and we'll just, we'll work on it. And then after that, slowly over time, I mean, now we have 8 different members with 8 different goals. Brand new guy in the static right here up top. He's going to be our new melee. Mr. Llamatodd racing for the very first time.
I know.
So expectations
nervous
are
and excited.
Once again.
Yeah.
It's the last time you'll see these guys be friendly together on a MogTalk, you know?
True.
That whole relationship.
Unless you have another show before then.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So the expectations, I can say this with full clarity, are tempered again because we have somebody who's never raced before, right? So we are going to be respectful and aware of our growing pains and our mistakes, but we're also going to temper that, we're not going to necessarily get a top placement. We're molding Todd into a racer and preparing for the next time.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Is we're going to do our best.
The later tiers
get to experience this.
Yeah, the later tiers we'll be free.
So really, it's just you gotta be. And I mean, I've had my fair share of being mad at people in the past, right? You have to be respectful, and the hardest part can be when people have different goals and then different times, and you're like, well, now I can't raid here and I can't raid then, and you're like, all right, well, we have this small time where we can meet up. Scheduling Savage is like so hard.
Sucks.
Scheduling Ultimate, man.
Oh.
It's really difficult. And when people have different goals and getting them, sometimes people need to compromise. So you're like, all right, well, if you pull on this a little, can you sacrifice on this a little? And sometimes it doesn't work, and you just got to replace a member. And it's nothing personal. Sometimes it is what it is. You can be friends and not raid together,
right,
and that's okay.
I'd also like to add to the whole like raid leading thing. I kind of got into the ultimate scene like kind of late. But I think a lot of the raid leading and Savage will translate. But for me, the way I guess I got better at it was playing different roles and really understanding the mechanics of the fight from like different perspectives, like tank, heal, especially just at least tank, healer, DPS, and just try at least those 3. You don't have to worry about like range or cast or whatever. I mean, they might have like their own sets of mechanics, but if you understand like when damage, like incoming damage or mitigation, if you have a full understanding of that, then you can better equipped to tell like the whole raid team like, okay, here's how we can handle this mechanic. Here's the damage that's going to happen. You can do this. You can use this ability. And so yeah, I just try the fights that now on other it's going to make you a better raid
Hmm.
I also have
and raid leader.
my biggest mistake that I want to share with everybody so you guys can learn from me and not do it yourself. When I took over the team, there was a lot of expectation from me. We came from a leader who basically just like quit the game and showed up for raid. And so they were like, well, why is he raid leading? And the guy was even like, yeah, why am I raid leading? So then they were like, all right, well, Rin, you're doing all the work. You should be the raid lead. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh, great. I have to continue to do all the work. You're not a one-man show. It's an 8-player team. Not everybody wants to have a voice, and that's okay. Some people just want to show up and push their buttons. That's it. Sometimes people just want to show up and push the buttons. But if we're like, let's say I'm progging, and I'm gonna throw out some random names. They're not even in my group, but let's say we were. Let's say I'm in a raid, I'm in progression, and Zeph Zayor is like, I think I know how this works. Okay, you get the floor. What do you think, buddy? I don't have to do everything, and you don't have to do everything. It's a group initiative, and it is not uncommon for us to, for example, to do the final fight of this last tier, right? Where I called out a mechanic, Black Sand called out a mechanic, maybe Pharaoh calls out a different, maybe even Happy calls out a mechanic too, right? And you have 4 different voices at 4 different times, and you respect them, and you give them the silence for them to call out that spot, and then healers talk healing stuff if they need to. You work together, and it's not like you're fighting against each other to see who helped your team clear the fight first. You're working together for your team to clear it all. That's what you're doing. And I think the sooner that you can, if you have that mentality, it's kind of like a league solo queue mentality, or like a solo queue PvP mentality where you're like, I lost because my team sucked, right? That's not what it's about. You're working together. So please learn from my mistake where I thought I had to do it all and learned that I don't. We could work together. Sometimes, though, you will have to do it all. Sometimes you're going to have 7 other people who just don't.
Sometimes.
That'll happen. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Can.
If you're happy in that group doing that, then you should keep going with that. But if you're not happy with that, you probably should bring it up with your group, figure out if you can make a change. If not, maybe that's not a group that you need to be in.
Some people learn different mechanics faster than others.
Well,
listen to each other.
And some people are just complacent, not growing. Some people like to just be right where they're at, doing just enough, and that's fine too.
Pay myself.
All different play styles for everybody.
All right. I think that's a really good note to kind of start wrapping it up on. And I want to, before we go, do the usual shout outs and where people can find you. So we'll start with you, Todd, if you're okay with that. Shout outs to whoever you want to shout out, and then where people can actually find you if they need to. If they want to. If they're like, hey, maybe I want to watch Todd a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Gosh. Well, again, I just want to shout out to my wife, who's been super supportive, and I've already told her with the world racing what to expect that week, and just props to her for just helping me out. It's been a lot of long hours, and she's been very understanding. Shout out to Mrs. And yeah, there you go. And if you want to find me, it's just twitch.tv/Llamatodd. And tomorrow we'll be on the Echo Esports channel doing some commentating. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
And at Llamatodd on Twitter.
Yeah.
How about your brand new channel that you're launching soon?
I have been talking with some editors, so I will be getting to the YouTube game. So that's soon TM.
Yep, Llamatodd TV. I already got it.
Llamatodd TV on YouTube.
TV. You're my TV bro.
Someone had Llamatodd.
It is
already. I couldn't get it. Like
no videos or anything.
Nothing. Like, can you claim other channels like that are inactive?
People have MogTalk all over the place, dude, and it's literally dead, not used at all. Someone just grabbed it. It's what it is. But
that's how I came up with Karigani. Somebody took my name in place. It was a weird name too, and people just took it everywhere. And I'm like, all right.
all right, Rin, your shout outs and where people can find you.
I want to shout out to Mrs. Llama, who enables Todd to do everything that he does.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for that, because he's such a breath of fresh air to the community, and he continues to be. And I am so happy I found him. He's a great guy. I'm obviously thankful to my wife, who enables me to also be able to be here for all of you. In addition to, my family, my beautiful little puppies that you see sometimes barking so loud, which are great. And I want to give a shout out to just everybody who's continuing to be positive in the community during this lull, and then when we're big again, right? We have everybody who is pushing Party Finder and keeping it active. We have all of the streamers and personalities who are out there still working very hard, and all of the new upcoming faces too are been creating nice memes and stuff for people to just enjoy and have fun with. And I want to thank the little people and Bahamut for being so great and having the only fight in the game. No, it's really good. I'm genuinely appreciative of the community in general, because you guys give me something to do every day and help just educate you all and work harder towards everything, And I think I speak for all of us who are in the directory when I say that we're beyond words with this community, right? There are a lot of people who like to do variety games, and I like variety as well, but this is my home. Final Fantasy 14 there's nothing like it. The community is great. And Frosty said it earlier, like, without the community, this game is great, but the community makes the game.
It really does.
Yeah. Well,
you can find me at
thanks, community.
I think you already shouted out my shit.
Yeah, I already shouted out
Karigani on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. You could be looking forward to our YouTube stuff in the near future. I'm almost done with I'm doing some Shadowbringers overview guides, and they're going to be going up soon. I'm almost done with them. Just to kind of have a piece of history. Like, you'll be like, oh, what were our changes like, right? And then at the end of Endwalker, you're like, oh man, I really wish we had an AoE provoke. You're like, when Stormblood we did, and Stormblood we did.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, it was a blast having both of you on. I think this was a great show. And I do want to shout out literally to both your wives for being amazing and helping you with what you're doing. Because I have to shout out my wife, Kiara, who is an amazing, amazing person who puts up with me doing this almost every single weekend, and all the other extra stuff that I'm doing. And I also want to shout out, again, Andre Kane for the intro and closing music, all the mods, everyone else that helps make this stuff happen. Of course, the Final Fantasy 14 community for continuing to support the show like we do. I'm part of the community. I support it too. Sure. Yeah. I didn't misspeak there. But yeah, please catch us on Echo's esports channel tomorrow. They are going to be doing the last day of their 3-day event here. And it's exciting to see what they're going to bring for the world race. If they do, we don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't in the future here. So check that out. That does start at 4 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Eastern time, and then I think CEST is 1 p.m. Yeah, CEST, which is in the UK. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so hard. So many time zones, man. It's such a global game. That being said, everybody, thank you again. Remember to be good, keep cool, stay frosty. See you hopefully next week. And I listen to this video about me thanking Patreon supporters. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
What is with this avatar? I don't know. All right, let me thank Patreon supporters. Hawk Morning, great raid resource for PvE. Teamcraft, great crafting resource. Phase Temperance, which is an awesome resource for content creation. For doing PvE content and creating events for the hardcore PvE community. Then there's some really cool cats. Dude, Antonio, D Fury, Daniel H, JJ, Megan C, Nami, Psyche, and Tagalong. Thank you all for supporting on Patreon. If you guys want the cat to reach her name, go to patreon.com/FrostyTV and be a Patreon supporter. Bye, guys.